Oh wow, it already started. I was still setting it up. I usually don't use this feature. I usually use I usually start these in a different way. But hello to the two people. What am I doing? What do you mean? What am I doing? There's no video today, so I've got to do something. On top of that, I work later, so I couldn't sleep. I woke up at like 1 in the morning, and I've been just sitting here writing out like this immense script for this huge video that I'm going to be producing. So like, oh, that is what is happening so far today. Just give me 1 second here. I'm just getting a playlist up. As I said, I actually was not expecting this just to automatically start. Normally, normally whenever I use the schedule function rather than just the start streaming function, it doesn't just start streaming. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll hit start stream in a second. We'll be good to go. And then I'm just looking around, I'm like, oh shit, we're live? oh shit. Oh shit, we're live. Oh shit. It's a secret between you and I, Keith. So, yeah. I figured I'd just talk a bit about the video that did not make it here today so far. I'm not done writing the script yet. It might end up being like a 20 or 30-minute video, which would not be cool. I mean, it would be fine, but I usually prefer to keep my videos beneath 10 minutes, and usually they're not the principal thing with the channel in this case. The majority of what I do on stream, the majority of what this channel is live streams. I'm here to do live streams. I'm here to talk with people like we're doing right now. It's weird. It's got 3 people here, but it says there's 2 concurrent viewers. I don't understand. But anyway, yeah, it's just unfortunate. But what ends up happening is, in this particular instance, I can't I'm still working on the script, and I've actually done a bit of video material for like memes and stuff that I'm gonna be adding mid video, but I am doing the big GW marketing video. And so far, I've written out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 paragraphs. And I'm working on paragraph number 13. And it definitely feels like I am not half done. Basically, there's so few people who've really put into words, in my opinion, why what Games Workshop did was probably not the wisest idea in terms of killing the fan animations and kind of going after the community. And again, I don't think that they did it out of malice. I should point out, I don't think that they have some hate boner for their community or whatever. I think it's just how they view the value of their IP. But I think that it's one of the larger contributing factors behind the slowing of growth at Games Workshop between 2020 and 2021. Yeah, the pandemic boosted sales too. But a contributor beyond all that was one thing that put the brakes on is they reduced the inflow of new clients. They broke the wheel, as it were. So that is kind of the premise of the video. So it's really an essay that I'm going to be producing that will have some clips and things like that in it. Yeah, that's what I'm up to. That's what I'm building, and it's going to be a longer format video. It might take a couple days to come out. So instead of doing additional video content, because I put 2 videos up a day, we might be doing 2 live streams, one after my job and one before my job, until I actually have this video scripted, produced, and put together. It's because it will be a longer format video. I don't actually think it will do particularly well, but I tend to be like an Orc Big Mac. Like, once I have a project like this, I'm like, oh, gots to finish it. Oh, gots to put it together. It's the same reason why I'm able to build sometimes very large conversions and kit bashes. Is because, my mind's eye kind of wanders around like, okay, now puts it together. What's the notes? So, Keith Moore, one part that I'm going to explain is that they increasingly may be viewing themselves as an IP holding company. An IP holding company doesn't view value in the products they produce, but views value in the value of the IP and their ability to license it. And if that's the case, they don't want any disputes in terms of who owns their copyright or the licensing to it, because that's where they believe the real money is, rather than in the production of miniatures. So yeah, I think the problem was that the legal department wanted to regain control of the IP, as people out there made erotic art in adult games based on 40K. They still are, though. So they have failed. They have failed in that context as well. There are still fan projects of that nature. There's still erotic art of that nature. There are still erotic video games being produced. You can find them. It's not that hard. Like, I myself don't have to, I don't indulge in such activities. But, you'd have to be living in a shed not to know that they exist. I tend to keep my personal time, as it were, away from things that I enjoy building, like models. I think it's kind of fucked up. But some people, they just want what they want. Like, 40K is not a very sexy world. The people in 40K aren't very sexy. They actually tend to be kind of ugly and battle-scarred. And they look kind of like crazy poor people who've dressed up in, like, the worst era of, like, the 1700s with powdered wigs. And, like, ugh. It's like, it's like, oh, don't you think this... Aren't they beautiful? It's like, oh. It's like, I play orcs for a reason. Oh, shit, Keith Moore. Keith Moore, I don't think you want any of what the Imperium is selling. You don't want any of that. Ira says, they tried to squash it all, but those which gain... only those will gain legal repercussions stopped. Yeah, that's just the thing, right? Like, I don't think that they wanted to crush the fan... I think they wanted to crush the fan animations as well, but I think that they thought it would go a lot better, and that everything would just filter through Warhammer Plus. I think Warhammer Plus is an objective failure, very much so. So I might be breaking down the essay into, like, 2 parts, where one I address the attack on the fan creators, and one I address why Warhammer Plus doesn't work, and why it's a terrible product line. And I'm not doing it because, like, I hate GW. I like GW. I think that what GW has been accomplishing, despite being relatively incompetent as a company, is really impressive. I think that how they've managed certain elements of their IP, very impressive. I love Warhammer. How, like, these people make Warhammer, and you may go, oh no, but it's the people they hire. It's like, nah, there is a degree of oversight from the company. So make no mistake, there's a lot of big love that I have for Warhammer. Games Workshop has done a great deal of reform over time. They've also made a bunch of mistakes, though. And, to say that there's no mistakes... hey, how's it going, ads? Well, I couldn't sleep. The video I was working on is going to take, like, a week to produce. So until I can actually put up some video content, ads, I'm going to, like, I'm allowed to do 2 uploads a day before YouTube doesn't promote me. So as a result, I'm doing a live stream this morning for at least an hour or 2 before I go back to bed, and then I work, and then I'll be doing another live stream later on after work. I expect the one after work will have more people in it. I'm not expecting a lot of people to flood in here. I'm just going over how things are going this morning. Just what I've been working on in terms of content is basically what I'm talking about. I wrote basically... Does this thing have a word tracker on it? I usually, typically for my scripts, I just use Notepad, because I'm just the one reading it. I don't need fucking spell check or anything while I'm doing it. How many words do we got on here? Alright, won't give me the word count. You fuck. This is my Notepad. Oh, yeah, I do. No, never mind, I don't. But yeah, it's got... I've probably written about 4 pages, 5 pages worth of stuff for the script so far. If I really drag things out, I can open up Word here and just copy and paste it in. It'll tell me, you spelled things wrong. I'm like, I know, you assholes. Yeah, I've written 3 pages worth of content so far, about 2,000 words. And I'm probably about a quarter of the way to where I want to be. So it's likely going to be 2 videos. Basically a series of me talking about, like, the marketing mistakes and failures of Games Workshop. And again, a lot of people will get, like, really salty about this type of stuff. I am going to add a disclaimer that I'm not really that salty about it. I'm more sad that they've done it. Just because it's sad for them. Like, it's not just sad for me. I'm, like, shit, I'm not particularly, I'm personally not all that impacted by it. The majority of what the fan animators did, I wasn't all that interested in myself, but I could see what they'd done in the community and all the money that they'd brought into the company and how they'd helped really transform the engine of Games Workshop. And Games Workshop believes they don't need them anymore. I don't believe that's true, at least if GW wants to continue to accelerate their growth. And I think Warhammer Plus, again, is so ill-conceived and so poorly thought out that they've tried to monetize their marketing budget, and it's just gonna flop. It's continued to flop. I expect it will shrink over the next year rather than grow. Well, I'm doing my best, Keith. I don't know if it's going to be a proper thesis level presentation, but I mean, I can read over some of it that I've gotten down here in a minute. Like, I don't mind. It's not like it's going to be spoils. Do you see the Shroud Runner rules? Let's take a look here. I do see what you sent over to me. Squad size 3-6 expected. They usually allow you to combine 2 box sets. 35 points a model. Yeah, whatever. Stat line, movement 16 expected. Weapon skill 3+, not bad. Ballistic skill 2+, hilarious. That is hilarious. Strength 3, toughness 4, wounds 3, attacks 2, leadership 7, save 4+. Well, the save's not great, but I'm sure that it has a bunch of things. Biker, core, flyer, outcasts, a Sonari, range, strength 4, -1 AP, not great. I actually expected more from the shot anyway. 6s for a mortal wound, you know, I compare these things to Eliminators, you know, the Space Marine guys who blow people in range. Not great. Scatter laser. Scatter laser is always good. Scatter laser's a reliable gun. No AP, but lots of shots. Shrieking pistol. Boo! No one uses pistols. Battle focus. Rumored to be move, shoot, move. Interesting. Probably less valuable than these. Maybe auto wound 6. Yeah, because the problem is like, it's a single shot, and if you mortal wound on a 6, you're basically fishing for 6s with a single shot. Probably not the best mathematical outcome for that. Rise of 1. Oh, so it can advance an additional 6+, no one cares. Shroud Runner Cloak. Get light cover as if they were infantry, and +1 benefits from its... Oh, okay, so it's basically always got light cover, so it really does have a 3-up save. Not that it'll matter. Targeting acquisition. 1 enemy unit within 12, ignore all cover from all outcast units in the army. That's fine. It's not great, though. It's good to see as soon as you have things on your mind about the hobby or anything, you put a video in streams, you're going to go far in the YouTube stuff. Well, it's just my personality type. I don't know if I'll go far in the YouTube stuff, but I certainly hope. Hey, it's Steve! Welcome, Steve! Welcome, even! It's the sniper rifle. It's not meant to be an automatic... It's a sniper rifle. It's not meant to be an automatic weapon. Oh, no, I know it's not meant to be an automatic weapon. I'm just saying that the actual power of the single shot should be higher. I don't want to use a sniper rifle to fish for 6s. If I'm getting a single shot, that single shot better be like a strength 5 -3 AP shot. Not a... What time is it? My friend, it is 1:50 in the morning, Dino. I began the stream because I realized I could not complete the video I was working on this morning. When I wake up, like I went to bed last night at 8, I woke up at 1 in the morning today, and I started working on the video that I've been planning, which is basically a essay I'm writing called Breaking the Wheel, How Games Workshop Disrupted Their Own Market, which is something that I'm going to be basically talking about a bit in this stream. I was just telling people I'm going to be reading a bit from it in terms of, I know, again, I don't normally do fully scripted videos, but in this case it will be. I'll just read some of the first paragraph here. Today we're going to discuss a matter that surrounds Warhammer. Today we're going to discuss a matter that surrounds Warhammer rather than Warhammer itself. It involves the rise and fall of an inadvertently superb marketing system which helped propel Games Workshop to new heights. However, was later destroyed by corporate behavior in the company, inadvertently reducing their growth significantly after several years of incredible success. The company had a good thing going on without fully realizing the ecosystem that had been building around them. So that's the first paragraph really delivers the rest of the essay. So I think most snipers have the same stat line, though the Eliminators are the exception. Yeah, but that shouldn't be the case, dude. If you compare a sniper rifle IRL between all the different types, 50 caliber sniper rifle's a hell of a lot different than a Dragunov. Let's put it that way. But yeah, that's basically what I was working on. Like, I mean, I don't mind sharing the screen here for a second, just to show you that I'm not bullshitting. Like, this is really what I've been writing in Notepad this whole time. Let's go over here. We got this. We got this, fellas. Like, this is what I've been doing all morning, and I realized, very quickly that, by the time I actually stepped over the full wraparound on the sheet, I'm like, ah, shit. this is. I was hoping to make like a 10-minute video, and I'm like, this is gonna be like 20 minutes. It's not great. It's not great. So, Keith, have you seen the size of the Eliminator sniper rifle compared to the Eldar or Guardian or Imperial Guard one? The only counter I have to that is that the Eldar weapons are 60 million years more advanced than the Imperial weapons. So if the Eldar weapons are not able to perform those types of tasks in a better way, I don't know what to tell you, man. That ain't on me. That's on GW for not being very creative. So that's my opinion on that. Like, Eldar weapon, yeah, man, sounds good. You never know. A scripted video essay could get you a lot of views. Maybe. Like, again, for me, most of this is just live streaming. I never really intend for the videos to be popular. They're a part of the ecosystem of YouTube, so making videos is overall helpful, because I usually don't intend to stream twice a day. I'm going to obviously be having to do that while I work on this version of the video, as long as I can work on it. Like, obviously if other things come up, I will have to make videos for other things. But as a result, yeah, like, I'm gonna have to stream twice a day instead of posting a video and a stream until I get this video done, or at the very least until I get the script done on it. What to actually make the video is not going to take that long. It might take a day or two. But this writing the script, I realize, because I'm gonna have to go back and try, adjust things in the script after the fact to make it make the most sense possible. A lot of it is just me attempting to convey to the general audience kind of what happened, like, without speculating too much. Like, I talk about the numbers too. Like, there's speculative numbers, but I point out, like, for every one person that Games Workshop brings into the hobby, they really make 40 to 50% of whatever that person spends. So, like, let's say, I'll use this example here. Let's say a fan creation draws in 10,000 people who've never been involved or interested in Warhammer before. Let's say further, of those 10,000, 1 in 100 build an army for Warhammer or begin indulging in the hobby. This has produced 1,000 new consumers. So, some will be discouraged early on, perhaps half of them. So you'll have 500 new consumers from animation. From the fan animation, at least the miniatures, of the miniatures and models, not counting books and Black Library. Those 500 consumers will build 2,000-point armies. This creates approximately $500,000 in revenue and about $200,000 to $250,000 in profit over the course of their first major armies in the hobby. Now, these numbers aren't scientific, but they can definitely show you the growth potential of this. Games Workshop is somewhat aware of this effect themselves due to their first big expansions of fans happening during the Dawn of War and Dawn of War 2 games. They are also aware of the failure to exploit this massive success with the Total War games, a huge error of the company's part. There were tens of millions of dollars, if not more, worth of revenue lost due to having no product for people to go to as a result of Total Warhammer. But I digress. So that's just one piece there. Have a great time, Keith. Thank you very much for being here. We're just having the morning stream right now. Welcome to the Big Red morning stream, where I'm doing this at a time that Australia, my countrymen in New Zealand, mate, countrymen with a UNTRY at the end, where they're fucking shouting up here like, great, finally someone's fucking streaming 40k at my time, mate. Finally, I can get out here and get myself my 40k fix on the fucking internet. Fucking great, mate. Fucking can't believe it. What fucking luck. I'm Guam. That's right. Man, I miss Sacco. But, Guam. He's from Guam. What a stellar dude. But yeah, like just at the end of the day, a lot of the video essay is of that type of stuff where it's just like, yeah, we're gonna go over everything, we're gonna talk about everything, we're going to really indulge in everything. Fair dinkum, mate. But we're just gonna touch on the subject and try to explain first of all why it was a terrible mistake to destroy the van animations, and then I'm probably gonna do a second video essay talking about how Warhammer Plus is a streaming service for no one and will continue to flounder because even if the quality of the content improves, it's the wrong type. No, I'm just tired, man. I gotta go back to sleep at some point, but it ain't gonna be for an hour or two. So. Uh, I also should point out I have not been back home for 20 years, though my old man, who did call me yesterday, was talking about wanting to go back to New Zealand for some period of time, which he wanted me to come with him. So we may be doing blogs on the road or in an airport or in another country and in another time zone for a couple weeks at some point later on this year if that all happens. So that'd be very exciting for me personally. I've not been back home in over 20 years now. I always say 20 years, but I'm older than I was before. It's been like 25 years. I was a child the last time I was down there. I know a lot of New Zealanders up here, but yeah. Hey, it's Byron. I have to say, Red, there must be factors we can't see as to why GW self-sabotage the way they do it. No, I know exactly why they did it. Stupidity is definitely a factor behind it, but I know exactly why they did it. Riddle me this, Big Red. Beaky Mark 6 or Beaky Mark 7 Aquila helmet? Oh, the beak, man. Don't come at me with that stuff. That beak is coming down, bro. Peter Miller. The biggest treachery was the closure of Eternal Crusade. I don't agree with that. That was a fucking blessing. Not even allowing private hosting. Pure scorched earth tactics. Nah, man. You know why? They don't want to be affiliated with a low quality product. Oh, actually, maybe they do. Actually, considering all the mobile games. I don't mind what they did with Eternal Crusade. I think Eternal Crusade was a bad game. At the end of the day, we're free to disagree. I don't really want to touch on that too much. I give Valrak a lot of grief. Oh man, the beak, man, the fucking beak is the king. Bear's going back to the Shire. That's right. I'm not a hobbit, but we're almost there. EC was trash, but it was our own toxic trash. Look at this, what I've built. This is this fucking heap of shit in the background. You're like, oh, I don't know. One person from the outside walks by, takes off the glasses. That is one big pile of shit. But, No, Byron, just to let you know, I actually am aware as to why they did what they did. It's because they themselves view control of the intellectual property as more important than immediate sales, which is a factor behind this as well, which I actually believe I actually mentioned in the video, or at least on the script so far. Where did I put that? Because it is important. Oh yeah, here we go. Prior to this, let me state that GW and their marketing and legal team are trying to crack down because they don't believe that this is the case. They see value somewhere else in regards to the IP. So discouraging fan content is what they may be doing to attempt to add value to their company. So you have to understand that, they're not doing this, it is stupidity, but they're not doing this because, and I'll explain why it's stupidity as well, which is when they want to control the output of this content because they are morphing Games Workshop over time into what's called an IP holding company. No, Games Workshop would be difficult for it to get too big, as I mentioned the other day. There's some really limiting factors behind what can limit the growth of Games Workshop. But what I should rather say, just to make sure I'm careful with my words here, is that if they become an IP holding company, then the only thing that they really have is the IP. Because they basically believe at a certain point plastic injection molding in manufacturing is going to be something that may not be profitable for them. So that means that if you have a bunch of fan projects going around, you actually they believe, erroneously, that it will undercut the proper products that they produce, which would be movies, television, video games, licensing material, etc. I personally don't think that that's the case. I actually think fan content increases the value of those things and makes them more popular and generates more revenue. And you can actually see that this philosophy is actually approached in the manga industry in Japan. I was actually talking with Kage Templar when we had dinner last night. Like went out and grabbed a burger, and I was just like, yeah, this is what they're doing. And he's like, well, and I knew this before, but he reminded me, he's like, in the anime industry, they have tons of fan mangas, which basically feed the masses and keep interest in a manga going even after it's over, which promotes the original manga sales and promotes the manga itself. And something like that is very bound to happen with a lot of these bigger IPs, but it's about control. They fear the loss of control, and they fear the loss of control because of how companies and organizations are encouraged by current copyright law without fully realizing where the money is. There's a lot of fear. Like, companies don't necessarily do everything by like, we're going to boldly go forward. It's like, no, there's a lot of fear behind what generates decisions in these organizations. It's not necessarily like a panic. There are panics too, but it's like, oh, but guys, what if in the future we got fucked over? Better not. And then they go in and they basically can hamstring themselves in the short term for hoping to not hamstring themselves in the long term. Like, the people involved with this are not bad people. Like, they're no different than most people. I do think that some of them are incompetent and should be fired. That much I completely believe. That does not mean that I think they should be fired on a malice or whatever. It says if you do a bad job, you should probably get fired. Yeah, well, I mean, like, they're going to be like Harmony Gold or something, which is basically like, just issues out licenses and stuff and doesn't really do a whole lot on their own, or they have their own internal production company, in which case they basically go from an IP company to a media company. But even then, Disney doesn't necessarily play well with fan animators either. People forget this. They've shut down tons of stuff, and only with big backlash if they ever lamented on it. I know Jack on the legal side of how true the notion is that if you do nothing to protect your IP, it will end up being in jeopardy. It's not that it'll end up being in jeopardy necessarily. It doesn't help because you're not willing to defend it in all cases. That basically means that someone who's saying that they didn't infringe on your IP can point to other cases where you haven't enforced your IP for them to be like, well, you didn't enforce it on these guys, so are you saying, like, this bullshit that you're coming down on me? It doesn't mean that you don't have the IP. It just means it becomes increasingly difficult to enforce your IP, which I know that seems like the same thing, but it's not. It's just very similar. So, yeah, no, slow stream this morning, but I expected as much. Again, like, normally I post videos around this time, but there's not going to be a video ready for several days to maybe a week or two, depending on that. So we're just going to do live streams in the morning that are going to be shorter format live streams, and then the longer format live stream in the afternoon. Can you explain why there have been so few good Warhammer games like Space Marine, etc. over the years? Yeah, absolutely. No one wants to work with them. That's really what it boils down to. You can basically see it that certain companies don't see value in the IP. So I'm sure. Also, to put it in perspective, with THQ gone, one of the major publishers of the gaming industry, we're still seeing the results of that. But Electronic Arts actually doesn't want to do a lot of licensed games. They want to manage their own IPs. Activision doesn't want to do a lot of licensed games. They want to manage their own IPs. They want to own what they work on because there's the real money there. You'll note it's all about IP. Call of Duty is a franchise which Activision owns. Warcraft is an IP that Activision owns. They don't really want to work on your IP. They want to work on their IP. Hey, Living Metal, good evening, Big Red from Australia. G'day, mate. Fucking there you go, mate. I actually might be in your guys' neck of the woods later on this year. Maybe. We might see what happens. I might be down in New Zealand. Welcome. But no, that's going to be interesting when it comes. But effectively, A lot of the big publishers don't do licensed games anymore. If you look, there's actually a lot less licensed games, and when there are licensed games, they're being done by smaller studios. Games Workshop can also be difficult to deal with IP companies, like with gaming companies, I should rather say. So, like, so you can't do that. We don't want you to do that. And, like, just at that point, it's kind of a wash. Kind of like, all right, boys, I think we're done here. I don't think this worked out the way we imagined. So, they'll shoot down pitches for video games that developers would otherwise want to do. So they're basically forced to deal with a bunch of small and medium-sized companies, which they charge very large licensing fees to, I'm sure, with revenue sharing arrangements. And then those companies basically produce substandard games, which, the desperate hordes of people, much like when Immortan Joe in Mad Max opens up the taps and spews the water out. It's like, much like that. That's kind of what they do from time to time. They give the masses of plebs at the bottom who are desperate for 40K content, or it's really nobody desperate for Age of Sigmar content. They give those people basically the water, as it were, even if it's shitty water. Oh, there's some mud and shit in my water. Drink it anyway. Oh. See the look, I was like, oh, I'm dead inside. Oh. So that's the grim, dark reality of the 21st century. That's just how they do business. I am actually surprised they're doing Space Marine 2, but I'm kind of not, because like Space Marine 2 is not being done by a renowned studio, and like Focus Interactive is not actually that big of a publisher, and I believe they're partially owned by THQ Nordic, which also has a new name now, because everybody has a new fucking name every 2 years now. It's like, hi there, we're THQ Nordic. We realize that this name may not actually be to optimal standards for you, so allow us to rebrand ourselves again. I agree with all this, and I just can't believe there aren't elements of self-sabotage, possibly from within the company, due to pressure from the higher-ups trying to push their agendas, possibly. I don't think so, because nobody in their right mind would buy Games Workshop. Like, those types of agendas you're talking about would either be to force out their rivals, which is possible. That one, some Machiavellian stuff might be going on, but that type of stuff gets overplayed. I don't entirely know if there's cloaks and daggers going on to that extent at Games Workshop. Or there's people basically internally who would like to see the company sold to Hasbro or to Disney or something like that, but those people don't want to pick up this IP. The only companies big enough to buy Games Workshop are companies that don't want anything to do with their IPs. Yeah, you might get some toys made here and there and stuff like that, but by and large, they really don't want to have the non-consent parts of 40K in there, which are very real, very prevalent, very prescient. They've been advertised by Games Workshop in their novels and other materials since like 2014. Like Gene Stealer cults in particular are really fucked up. Like, if you take a look, Disney isn't even wholly sure what they want to do with Alien and Predator, which are successful franchises in the film industry. Now they're finally moving ahead with some projects, but those projects were basically Fox projects. And they're not sure on those products. They're relegating them to basically C-tier television, like what they're going to be doing with Alien by putting it on FX series. Just trying to get a couple pennies out of it, but even then, they want to stay distant from it. Of course they want to stay distant from it. They'd have to be out of their minds to want to be like, well, embrace it! So those franchises can't make them the type of money that they want, and they would view 40K in the same way. So even though Games Workshop is, worth a lot of money, it's not worth the investment. Because Games Workshop makes $100 million in profit a year, and you'd have to buy it for $6 billion. It would take you 20 to 30 years to basically make your money back unless you put a rocket under it. But it's going to be real bad if you put a rocket under it and people start screaming that the franchise is all about non-consent. Then you're going to have to backtrack. You're going to have to start apologizing. You're going to basically have to go, okay, well, that's not what this is about. You alienate all the original fans. It starts to basically spiral. And then suddenly you have a Star Wars situation where they have yet to truly pay back the original investment they made in Star Wars. Why? Because they fucked it up. I don't like Star Wars even. Like, I jokingly said tonight, you don't like Star Wars anymore because You don't like Star Wars anymore because oh, I'm sorry. You don't like Star Wars anymore because of the sequel trilogy. No, it goes, you don't like the sequel trilogy because you feel it screwed up Star Wars. I don't like the sequel trilogy because it's Star Wars. We are not the same. so, so that is, like, that's my opinion on it. But even I, as somebody who's not a Star Wars fan, was able to recognize that they screwed it up. Yeah, I agree with you, Peter. You're a good man. You're the same as me. Fuck Star Wars. But that's effectively what, they look at it and they just go, okay, well, how long... They lost money on some projects for Star Wars. They've lost money on certain areas. And it took them forever to claw it back. And even now, how do they justify it? Well, Disney Plus. Well, would have Disney Plus been a success with or without The Mandalorian? How do you quantify what is actually pushing that content? You can look at views, but views don't necessarily translate into if those people bought your streaming service for that purpose. You're on again. What a legend. There goes me doing my job this morning. Hey man, I'm only on here for a couple hours. It's 2 in the morning. The latest I can be on is 4:30, so I'm only going to be around for a couple more hours. I know normally I feel like I can stream longer, but I got to sleep for 2 hours before work. Again, I was writing a video and I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to get any content out today. This is way too big of a video I'm working on. It's going to take a while, so I like to have 2 posts a day, so it's going to be 2 live streams a day until I get the big video done. So I worked on that for over an hour in total this morning, and it's just like, yeah, Ireland, it's 10:15 in the morning in Ireland. No, it's 2:15 in the morning for me. I tend to be a night owl or a morning person, depending on what time I wake up. I went to bed last night at like 8 at night, and I woke up at 1 in the morning. Terrible. I would have preferred to have gotten more sleep, but what choice did I have? I had no choice at all. So it's better off for me to do something like a live stream in the morning than. But the guy I bought my car off of, he's like, I'm not North Irish. I'm Irish. I'm like, it's the same. He got so mad. It's like, I'm getting a good deal. I'm getting a good deal anyway. Am I right? He's glaring at me. But yeah, like, that's basically what it boils down to, my friends, is, we're just doing a live stream because, I can't get the video content out I want because it's turning into like an essay, and it's going to take a lot of like me managing over it, and then I'm going to be splicing a bunch of clips into it. I actually spent part of this morning creating a meme clip of the line where Daenerys is talking with Tyrion. Where I have Tyrion's face, I put Kevin Roundtree above it when he's talking, and it's just like, many of those who've dreamed of breaking the wheel, and then it cuts to Daenerys, who's GW legal, and he goes, I'm not going to stop the wheel, I'm going to break the wheel. It's like, oh boy, here we go. So that is the plan. That is how we're going to do this. So I've got a bunch of fun content like that just popped in there that I intend to intersect with it. It's like, you have to remember, it's not just a video essay of me being, just sitting there like shooting the shit with people and talking for half an hour. It's got to be entertaining for people too. The core of YouTube is to be entertaining. People aren't on, like, some people are here to learn stuff, but for the most part, people are really on here to be like, life's hard. You only got so many minutes in your life. Shit, I want to do something today. Oh, well. Welcome to the Big Red 40K channel. I'm doing my best, boys. I'm doing my best. But yeah, that's basically the plan this morning. It's probably not my greatest live stream ever. Do you think that Battlefleet Gothic Armada is done for good? Absolutely. They should make a third one, so if they make a third one, I will be elated. But I don't think that they're going to do a third one. Maybe they will. I hope they do. I really do. I really love Battlefleet Gothic Armada, and it did really well. So the problem is they had low DLC adoption and they weren't able to keep the game going because they're bad at managing the multiplayer. They didn't release enough campaigns. They're bad at managing the multiplayer. Focus Interactive is not like a super professional operation, and that's one reason why I am not too I'm worried about Space Marine 2. I do hope it's a good show. I hope it's a good video game. I will play it, and I will play it on stream with you guys. I have no problem with that. I got a ring that'll do it when it comes out. It's just I don't know if it's going to be good. The studio that's making it has no pedigree. The game will either make that studio into a big deal, or it will sink that studio. It's interesting to peel back the layers and get to the root of things, especially in a world like this. It is. I agree. Just to really take a look at it and try to figure out why people do what they do, what motivates people to make the decisions they make. And when I say people, that covers people, that covers corporations. But a big part of it's cause and effect. People don't understand how interconnected we all are as human beings. It's very much the butterfly effect. A butterfly flaps its wings and it changes the world. I really hope this works out for you full time. You've got a genuine passion for the IP in your channel, which is deadly. I hope it works out for you. We're getting out of the factory. We're fucking doing it. If my current real world job doesn't work out over the next few weeks or months, I will still be I will actually, because I'd have to figure out what I'm doing, but I will dedicate a few months regardless to see if I could get this channel to the point of being monetized. Outside of that, I'd have to get a job outside of this, which is no problem. I've worked, for 20 years, really since the moment I've been, out of school. I've basically worked, so I have no problem with that. It's just, I much prefer to do something I'm passionate about, and I'm very passionate about this IP and the hobby as a general. If the channel grew to the point where I felt comfortable doing it, I would love to do content for Bolt Action. I would love to do content for BattleTech. I would love to do content for other gaming systems in general, or Warhammer Fantasy, or anything like that. I am most passionate about 40k, even though I think the game itself is not particularly good at the moment. But that's because I love the world of Warhammer 40,000. You have to remember it's for me. I actually don't believe that it's all about the game. I think the game is actually tertiary. I think I used the right word there. Did I use the right word? I want to find that out. Let's go on a Google adventure. Relating and denoting the first period. I think actually. Oh no, third order. Damn it. But actually, no, that would make sense because the lore, the hobby, and then the game. So yeah, it actually is. It is the third in order. I did it, you guys. I inadvertently did it. I am winning. I'm fucking winning. Yeah. Hey man, Bolt Action is the best gaming system. So for me, it's a matter of it's not a matter of do I like the game? The game's not very good. I like the models. I like building models. I like putting together a story on my bases. I'm not even the greatest person at it, but there's so much character you can add to your stuff. It's yours. You make it yours. That's a huge part of this for me on the channel. So you also have to remember that I'm not expecting videos themselves to do particularly well. Well, Nike and Adidas aren't really competitors either. That's an oligopoly. Oligopoly is not a great system. I suspect if anyone's going to rise up to the challenge to be the next competitor to Games Workshop, it's not going to be... Because you have to remember, there was real competition back in the day between FASA and Games Workshop. BattleTech was the number 2 game. It was far behind Games Workshop, but it was a big enough player in the market that MechWarrior was way bigger in video games than anything GW did until Dawn of War came out. MechWarrior brought thousands of people, if not tens of thousands of people, if not maybe 100,000 people into the ecosystem of FASA Interactive. But FASA failed for a series of reasons, largely because they fucked up their IP management. Oh, Who noticed what I just did there? It all ties back together. Jordan Weisman, brilliant man, one of the greats of the industry. He fucked up his management of the IP when he was running FASA, because he split the IP license of BattleTech among too many people. So effectively, people own the rights to the show, like to making it a media program. People own the rights to making it a video game. Microsoft bought the video game portion of FASA, which was called FASA Interactive, and owns the rights to everything MechWarrior and MechAssault. They own all of it. It's all theirs. Except for the tabletop game. They don't own the tabletop game. Well, who owns the tabletop game? The tabletop game is owned by a company named Tops. And Tops then licenses it out. Like, it's a broken IP. And a broken IP, it's very hard to create a media empire out of a broken IP. Why is that? Because, like, you need to have the total package. Games Workshop does not want to do what BattleTech did and hamstring itself for decades by basically breaking up its IP. They also learned that with THQ. When THQ was going under, GW couldn't pull the license, so they had to wait for them to go under, and it created a ton of problems. So now they're not giving out. They're very much about just keeping control over the intellectual property, which is good and bad. There are good parts to it, and there are bad parts of it. But that's the thing you have to remember, is there are examples in this industry of major tabletop games that basically never failed on their own. They failed because of mismanagement of the intellectual property. Exactly. Competition is hard when the IP is either flung to the far reaches or locked up completely. That's the main thing about it. So, like, BattleTech's coming back, but it's very difficult for it to ever truly compete with Games Workshop because of the situation involving the intellectual property. And for everything to come back home would cost $1 billion. Like, you have to remember that, like, if, let's say that I had the money, an unlimited amount of money, I would have to not lease the IP from Microsoft. I would have to buy the IP from Microsoft. Expensive. Then, like, you know, they're going to charge you hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, to pull that IP out of their clutches. Then I've got to go over to Tops, who really have nothing else going on. They lost baseball trading cards. So what does that mean? Uh-oh. No sports cards. The only thing they really have to fall back on now is BattleTech, which means that company's actually going to contract over the next few years as their other licenses go up. So Tops looks at BattleTech and goes, oh, we can't let this go. If we let this go, we're going to sink as a company. So I basically have to buy Tops. Buying Tops, like, what's the value of Tops as a company right now? Second here. Two piece? It's 2Ps. It's worth $1.3 billion. So you basically have to buy Tops. Like, they're not going to let that go because they don't have anything else going on. So now you begin to see the problem. You want to make BattleTech a real competitor to Games Workshop because you need a multi-spectrum approach. You would basically have to spend $2 billion to basically make a company that will annually make $50 to $100 million. Do you see where the issues might come in here? Now, if you are producing video games at the same time and those are smashing success, you might be able to get bigger than Games Workshop. But those companies and investors do not like risk. They don't want to roll on the craps table. They want a steady, reliable return. And remember, most investors in the stock market are not individual guys who are swinging their nuts around. They're pension funds. Pension funds don't want to tell the pensioners that they lost the fucking money. Oh boy, I believe that the largest collective group of investors at Games Workshop are British pension funds for the most part. And the American investor, which is like super skeevy, named BlackRock. Like, those are the really big people who own Games Workshop. They have the biggest controlling interest in the company. So, like, they want steady and reliable, and Games Workshop is steady and reliable. But, sorry for getting into the business. Oh, Business Analyst Bear! Business Analyst Bear sitting here behind the computer screen with you guys this morning. Hey guys, how's it going? This stuff doesn't take much. You just have to read about it. Just, you know, like, I'm not putting this together by being a brilliant genius. You just take a look, like, okay, well, who actually owns Games Workshop and what do they want out of it? You can't compete with GW IP locked up aesthetic, almost nailed down. What you think Necron looks like, or any other race, is ingrained in your mind. Any third party rarely fits. Well, yeah, I mean, like, but as I was saying, there are major companies with their own distinct IPs that used to compete with Games Workshop. The two principal competitors, one of them broke up. One of them broke up because of their own failure to manage their IP. I guarantee you, if Jordan Weissman had been a smarter, not smarter, if he'd seen different opportunities, because Jordan Weissman is fucking brilliant. He's done extremely well for himself, and he has been a gem to the industry. He's a hero of mine in many respects. So I don't want to be like, "You fucking moron." No, if he had made better decisions back in the late '90s, early 2000s, I think that BattleTech would actually be an IP still competing quite vigorously with Games Workshop's IP. I really think that, especially like you have to remember that it's Game of Thrones in space with giant mechs fighting each other. It's an absolutely brilliant concept and design. It's still a big IP. It's still one of the big players in the industry. It's just it got hamstrung by mismanagement. But it's bad and good in my opinion. But bad decisions always ring louder than good ones. Exactly. What do you think of what do you think of Discourse Miniatures? Is that a company name? Discourse Miniatures? I have not heard of this Discourse Miniatures, unless there was a typo somewhere. Discourse Miniatures appears to be a YouTube channel. That tells you what I think of Discourse Miniatures. I don't really know who this person is, to be honest. I have no idea. Are you ready to give Game Workshop your milk? Come check out the video, The Death Spiral of Warhammer Seasons. Yeah, Warhammer Seasons aren't going to work out. Spoiler! She talks about the business side of GW a lot. Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, like, I mean, if you notice, I'm fairly critical of Games Workshop as well. I don't have, like, I think that it won't be a great, I don't think that the seasons are going to work out, for instance, based off of what she's got there. I don't actually think that Games Workshop's going under or anything like that. Anybody who's hyperbolic about that, I always hate that. Like, whenever you hear a certain side of the community be like, "They're going under! They're gonna get what they fucking deserve!" Like this, they're going full Joker on screen. But, like, you have to understand that, like, they're just a business. They're just trying to do what they think is right. They're trying to add value. That's the thing you have to remember. That's what they're trying to do, but they're trying to do so in the safest way possible, and sometimes that doesn't work out. I think that the real value of Games Workshop is the miniatures. It always will be the miniatures, and it will be the lore. Those are the two big values that they have for 40k. Age of Sigmar has no value. And I actually mean that. I sincerely mean that. It has almost zero value. The miniatures are okay, but they're weird looking, which are very difficult to translate over to sales. And I think that Age of Sigmar's lore is non-lore. It's garbage. It's pure garbage. It's pablum at best. It's not even good pablum. And like, as a result, it just has no value to the company. It might make some money right now, but it only makes money on the virtue of the game. The game is the weakest part of the company. Their ability to make games is the weakest parts of the company. So that means that, like, look what happened. 3rd edition's bad. Collapsed. Boom. Cratered. Gone. So, you know, it's not even about support. Like, oh, you have the bad ideas, and you're committed to these bad ideas for 3 or 4 years minimum. Good luck, Chuck. That's why I think it has no value to it. I don't view it as I view it as a holdover until the old world gets back, because people care about the old world. And just watch, GW is, again, not very smart, so they're going to bring back the old world as a product for the people in the Total War games. It's just going to kill Age of Sigmar. They're not going to intentionally kill it. It's not like you're saying, like, "All right, guys." It's just they think that people will stick around once the old world comes in. Once the old world's back, I think the fat lady's going to begin humming a few bars once the old world comes back. She might already be humming right now. Do you think the old world is a reaction to Kings of War and AOS being gash? AOS did quite well for a while. It actually did about as well percentage-wise as at its peak as Warhammer Fantasy did at its peak. The reason why AOS will not do well, and Games Workshop has not managed to make it appealing beyond the miniatures to some extent, and beyond just having good crunch, which is good gameplay. But it's not good gameplay. It's good gameplay compared to Warhammer 40,000. It's bad gameplay compared to any other major competitors. And so people get sucked into it because Games Workshop's a large marketing machine that basically managed to pull people into it. But once the game's bad, you're gone. Why would you stick around? Ugly orc models, ugly Sigmarite models, bad storylines. You're not going to stick around. Why do people stick around in 9th edition even though 9th edition is bad? Like, 9th edition is absolute dog shit. But why do people stick around? Because they love Warhammer 40,000. I stick around because I love Warhammer 40,000. I love the miniatures. I love the models. I love the stories. I pick up source books when if it's on a subject I really like. That's why you do it. You don't just do it because oh hey guys, I gotta go rock hard for this game. Like, the more they actually appeal to the tournament crowd, the harder it is on the community. This is what happened at Privateer Press. You want to talk about another competitor at Games Workshop that did quite well over the years until they shot themselves in the head. That would be Privateer Press. They were the big challenger coming out over a very long time. A lot of people here will know the name War Machine and Hordes. War Machine and Hordes were eating Games Workshop's lunch for a while, and then Games Workshop didn't outdo them. They shot themselves in the head, and then at the worst possible time before they could recover, Games Workshop released 8th edition Warhammer 40,000. Finished. They went from being a juggernaut in the industry to a nobody. But I think that Games Workshop realizes that there's a market that they are not serving when it comes to fantasy miniatures, which things like Kings of War. But I don't know if they thought it was large enough to justify the expense of putting a game into it. Just because you can capture a market doesn't mean that you want to capture that market, because you have to support that market. You have to pay into it, right? And I think that they looked at it like, we don't really want to run fantasy anymore. We're not really into that. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to make the IP-friendly Age of Sigmar. Well, it's IP-friendly, but it sucks. You own an IP that's not very good. Congratulations. This is an achievement on your Xbox console that pops up. Whoop, whoop. It's like, yeah, no one can take it from us. No one wants to take it from you. Nobody wants it, actually. Congratulations. You did it. So coming back to the hobby, it's difficult to put into the words, but AOS feels fake and plastic, no pun intended. It is fake. Because, the entire concept behind it is flawed. It basically, to make it as alien from the old world as possible, i.e. the old world is like a parody of real life during, medieval and ancient times, basically. None of that's IP friendly. So what do? Well, let's make a whole world of absolute fucking gibberish nonsense with a bunch of characters that we own the IPs to, and we're going to make a new world out of it. And you're like, well, what is this? Oh, well, the one world uses the gates to get to the other world. It's very sci-fi, very 40K, but it's bright, because we've got good guys and bad guys in this thing. You just look at, this absolute fucking turd. You guys want to get the big red rant going on, you're getting it. It's such a big red turd, man. That's something you should go see your doctor about. If you had a turd show up looking like Age of Sigmar, you got to go to the doctor. You're going to die. You need a colonoscopy tomorrow. So, I know I'm never going to... All the people who like Age of Sigmar tune out immediately. They always turn out as soon as Age of Sigmar, fucking bear. But, I look at it as just an absolute financial malpractice. Because they might have made money on it for a little while, but again... That whole game is fully dependent on people enjoying the gameplay. All it took was one edition, a few weeks of an edition, and it killed an entire game system. It's not played. Nobody's playing it. Nobody's even Games Workshop themselves are like, what are we gonna do? You know they're panicking because it's not doing well. Well, to fix what they've started will take years. Okay, well, is that audience going to come back? Well, you've built a fickle audience because they're not there for the IP. They don't care. If another game is already out that they're enjoying more, they'll just stick with that game. They won't come back because they're not loyal to you. They're loyal to gameplay. Those are the worst types of consumers to have. Consumers with no loyalty. You don't want That means it's a transactional relationship where you want a trust and faith-based relationship with your clients, right? Like, so no, it's not good. And like every time they've tried to build something else out of lore, it feels disjointed and weird. It's fine. It's fine. I wouldn't want to own the Age of Sigmar IP. Like if I was a company, I would be like, I don't want this. Why would I want this? And I'm not even talking like if it was Disney or Hasbro or whatever. It's a bad IP. Like it's gutter trash as far as IP is concerned. And every time they try to, like, they're going to be trying to promote it now with Hammer and Bolter. Good luck. Hammer and Bolter reflects the quality of the stories of Age of Sigmar. There we go. Should have never had any 40k content in it. It should just be called Hammer and Stupidity. There we go, boys. This is your Warhammer Plus content. Of course it feels off because it's not anything you can identify with. This is something I've mentioned on stream before. Let's say you read the Talos novel, like, the Soul Hunter series for the Night Lords. Yeah, it's a fantastical world, but you can identify with the characters in there because they're written in such a way that you as the reader can identify with them. No, you've never been on Nostromo. You've never had to basically watch them kill your mother before your very eyes because she came out screaming and crying like, "Don't leave me, my baby!" Like, bang, 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 ah! Like, you've never been through that type of trauma. Of course you haven't. But you can identify with the pain and struggle of Talos because he's a well-written character in a well-written world. And so you're able to generate empathy for this character, which is what sucks you into the novel. When you read Age of Sigmar, you can't do that because the world itself is uninteresting, but also it's completely alien in Warhammer 40,000, it is not an alien world. I know it is an alien world, but when I say it's not an alien world, there's enough glue there to real life that it might be unique and it might be IP friendly and it might be all these different things. But it's still, you can attach so much human association with that world because it's a parody of our world in many respects, which is perfect. Like, they've got 40k is such a valuable IP in the right hands. But you take a look at Age of Sigmar, it's not the same thing. These people live in, I know they aren't in bubbles, but they live on huge flat planes of existence where, gods come down every other week. You will never see a Space Marine if you're a citizen of the Imperium. You will live and work in a manufactorum, just like most people in real life live and work in a store or a manufacturing facility. You're able to identify with the struggles of those people, even if it's exaggerated. And you can identify with what they have to go through in their day-to-day lives to basically handle things. Whereas in Age of Sigmar, it's like, hey, he's a mud farmer. Well, why? Well, the gods can't. There's not even a good reason why the Sigmarites defend people. Why do the Sigmarines come down to basically come fight alongside? We're doing it for honor and dignity, man. It's like, we're honor-driven warriors. Like, the low brain cell count just through the floor. It's Saturday morning schlock, and it's bad Saturday morning schlock. It's basically like He-Man if He-Man basically got a lobotomy. It's He-Man with a lobotomy. It's bad. It's so bad. It's the worst. When I say it's the worst setting I've ever read in my life, it is the worst setting with a major company behind it I've ever read from a game company. It's awful. It's awful. I would take 1980s BattleTech in a heartbeat over what they've given people with Age of Sigmar. I would take 1980s Warhammer Fantasy over what they've, and this is silly stuff. I would take that in a heartbeat. Just bad. Why would you even want it? I was just hoping to learn about AOS through the animations, to be honest, and it seems like it won't happen. Oh no, there's going to be some animations for you to learn about, my friend. Lobotomy sounds amazing. Yeah, so Skeletor, you won't stop me this time, He-Man. Just staring back at him, like, with the sword, he's tapping the ground. He's struggling to function. He-Man, are you okay? I have it on the... That's so much better than AOS. He-Man with a lobotomy out there. He's like, my name is He-Man. I'm gonna stop you. He's just like trying to stumble forward. It's like, what the Beastman, go and get He-Man, a medical professional. Skeletor doesn't even stop being an asshole. He's like, we can sort out Grayskull later. This guy needs some help. Don't be too harsh on the Sigmarines. They're just reincarnated several times, so their brain cell count is decreased several times. Not anymore, Era. Not anymore. They got rid of that. The one good quality that they had. Oh, eventually they'll just become fighting machines, and they lose all sense of who they are. Now they're like, they are perfectly immortal. Fuck you. How about that? It's like, boo. Good morning. I am up early, Miles. It's partially because I was working on that video I was talking to you about last night, but it's going to end up being a massive essay. There's no way I can record and complete it this morning. Yeah, Era, they got rid of that. 3rd edition. The Sigmarines now, basically, when they teleport down and they die, they just come back full, no problem. Yeah. They've perfected them. They've all become perfect. So I'm even more perfect. You know? You thought you defeated me, but I am in fact perfect. How can you defeat perfection? My perfect form. It's like, boo. Actually, you know what? You can even see the evolution of it. First edition was Imperfect Cell. Nah. 2nd edition is Imperfect Cell. I don't believe you can defeat me. And now we are on to perfection. It's a shame. I think, but they made the Sigmarines look better than the originals. They brought out but it's all crap anyway. They're bad anyway. Nobody wants Space Marines in fantasy. Why would you want that? So what makes Space Marines good is that they're a unique product. They're unique. They're unique to Warhammer 40,000. That's what sells them. Games Workshop, because again, this is a low brain cell count thing. They're not able to be creative in the ways that are successful. At least when it comes to something like Age of Sigmar. They're like, well, what makes 40k good? 40k has Marines. People don't want Sigmarites. I don't know who's chomping at the bit to go out there and be like, you know what, you guys? I play Stormcast Eternals. They're fucking hardcore. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody likes Stormcast Eternals. Why? Because they're a knockoff of Space Marines, and everyone knows it. And the Space Marines are more interesting and better than whatever things they basically choose to shit out. And the people I know who even like Warhammer Age of Sigmar's lore, and there aren't that many of them, the faction they like the least is the Sigmarites. It's the opposite with 40k. Most people who like the lore, even people who are critical of the Space Marines, tend to like Space Marines because they tend to be interesting characters because they're an interesting concept. They may as well just rebrand them as 40k and just throw them in some sanguinary card bits in the box. Yeah, oh, hey, oof. He touches it with a needle. Ooh, and like, you can read people who were in the industry before when Age of Sigmar first came out. They're like, pray that, things work out, guys. Pray that it all works out because there's a lot of people's lives and jobs and livelihoods and investor money all built into this. I'm like, I hope it doesn't work out because it's bad. Like, I genuinely am glad that the majority of the public has taste. Like, honestly, like, they tried to force feed the public something that wasn't good because they freaked out over intellectual properties regarding Warhammer Fantasy. I'm sorry, I can't type. You get the gist. I know. I get the gist of it. I think so. But yeah, like, that's just the core of it, though. Again, like, it's just not going to land very well, I don't think. I think that, I already know it hasn't landed well. They recovered somewhat from the bad days of the first edition of Age of Sigmar. It looked like it was going to go back into growth. I was actually worried for a while. I'm like, man, this terrible idea is going to stick around. Oh, God. And now I'm like, thank goodness. Thank goodness they couldn't help themselves and they fucked it up. I mean, they've never been good with the lore on it, which is the part that, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't impact me if Age of Sigmar's around. But what I mean to say is that, I'm joking when I say thank goodness they fucked it up. There are people who do care about this property. They do exist. I feel bad for them that they're not getting the quality that they deserve. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter very much because it's just not a very appealing or compelling world. What makes 40k interesting is not that you want to live in Warhammer 40,000, but it's appealing and compelling to you as someone to read about or be involved with. You never want to live in the like the fucking nightmare of the 41st millennium, but you want to read about it. Do you really want to read about the 8 planes or whatever, and how all these asshole Sigmarites basically hover above them, fighting the gods of chaos? It's like, boo. Boo! The best parts of the old world aren't even really chaos. The best parts of the old world are the Empire, and how the Empire deals with all the chaos surrounding it. And I don't mean the chaos gods, I mean like the political turmoil that surrounds them, or how they deal with a natural disaster, which is basically like an orc wall rolling through. People like things like Skaven and things like that just for being Skaven, but for me, the thing that made the old world worthwhile was reading the intrigue of the old world. And any intrigue in something like Age of Sigmar feels fake and forced because the world doesn't feel interesting or real. So why would you care? Space Marines are transhuman sci-fi version of ancient heroes, strong, fast, able to fight monsters that terrorize people. Sigmarines are guardians, angels. They do the same thing but are less cool. Or rats in the sewer. Then we've got Slaaneshi Chaplain. In your opinion, Big Red, is Warhammer 40,000 less grimdark than it? Is it less grimdark than it was? Will there be an inevitable phase out of the traits becoming market friendly? It is less grimdark than it was. That much is almost guaranteed. I hate to say, it already has become significantly less grimdark. Like, if you compare like how grimdark it was, now it's there are elements of grimdark that they've added to it since, but it tends to be grim dumb, which is, you know, grim for the sake of being grim. I don't think that it, like, every time they push it in this direction, they tend to make more money, but they tend to weaken the IP. I think there's only so far as they can push it. My big concern is, part of my concern has been reduced recently with the incident in Spain, and Games Workshop basically had to come out and say the Imperium of Man is an aspirational state. I think that the biggest issue with the IP right now is actually somewhat with the fans believing the Imperium are the good guys. Even if someone will say, oh, I don't really believe the Imperium are the good guys, and then you listen to them justify the horrific actions of the Imperium for a few hours, you're like, oh, I don't think you realize what you're doing. It's like, the Imperium of Man is impossible for them to reform because of the history of Warhammer 40,000. It would be very difficult for Games Workshop to make the setting not grimdark entirely. It's not possible because of the nature of the Imperium of Man being a hateful, genocidal, ignorant state. And even with Guilliman in it, it's just not. There's no way to reform that system to such an extent that they're not just going to murder all the aliens or all the heretics, or they live in like deeply steeped ignorance. So it will always be a grimdark setting. It's not a question of if it will be grimdark; it's how grimdark will it be. And if Games Workshop really does have like an aneurysm or something, and decides that they're going to make the Imperium truly heroic, like they do in the marketing sometimes, and it doesn't really land. You're like, you know, you guys don't like it when certain ists and phobes join your community, but like some of your marketing draws them in. I don't think it's intentional. I think that they just don't know how to convey what they want to convey in any other setting. And that's the issue. But no, it is grimdark. It will continue to be grimdark. It's not a question of if it's grimdark. It's a question of how grimdark it's going to be. And I believe that 40K is not actually able to have true mainstream appeal. I think it can have more appeal, and it can become a major intellectual property. It already is one. But I don't know if you can ever truly have like groundbreaking, like Marvel level of adoption, because like families won't want to take their kids to a movie with this in it. You know, you can have like it's okay for not every RP, like not every IP to be the biggest thing that has ever existed. Companies don't necessarily agree with that, but it's about knowing your market and growing your market, but growing your market in an organic way. And I think that they've largely been successful at that. But that guy wasn't even playing Imperium. He was playing Orcs, 1940s Orcs. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Era. Let's not. Let's not, Era. Let's not do this. I'm gonna say it, but the people you bring up in the into the hobby by taking it away from Grimdark will turn into My Little Pony on the tabletop. I don't think we're heading in that direction. I don't think that that's gonna happen. Um, Again, like, Games Workshop isn't the brightest company in the world, as I've mentioned. They're kind of dumb, but it's not. It's just it's very unlikely to see to see them cast away their grimdark origins, because like, I know that they're angry internally that the setting is not more acceptable. Like, if you take a look at Age of Sigmar is what they wish Warhammer 40,000 could be, and it doesn't work, and they're figuring out that it doesn't work right now. They're not, like, they got lightning in a bottle with the Warhammer 40,000 when they really started to move into it in the 90s, and they are lucky that they did. They are lucky that they created something that is resilient, because Warhammer 40,000 is a very resilient setting with a very resilient fan base. So they're extremely lucky that they have that, and I think that there are a few light bulbs that do go off there from time to time that realize how lucky they are. But it does mean, though, that resilience comes at the expense of true growth. They can reach as many people as they can, but those people are never going to make up a large percentage of the population. Because, again, like, you might be able to retcon out Drukhari, Slaanesh, and Genestealers, but even if you don't, can you retcon out the Imperium? And can you make the Imperium, like, you're going to turn the Imperium into a multicultural, multi-ethnic, super fun, like, Xenos are our friends, holding hands state? I don't think you are. I don't think that's gonna. I don't, like, there are things that the fans will tolerate, and there are things the fans will not tolerate, and they're not going to tolerate that type of direction. Not because the fans are evil or whatever, but because it's not what you bought. It's not what you bought into. And so, again, I think that the people there kind of know that, and they walk a fine line, and I just don't see how they could. I don't see how they could fundamentally change. If only you had a YouTuber who could help grow their catchment of people. I know, right? Right, Thomas? If only there were a group of people out there making products to draw in those who would be attracted to such a dark and grim setting. I don't know anyone who's like that, though. It's a damn shame that not enough people have really bought in with this 40k IP stuff. If only Games Workshop could, maybe Games Workshop should make their own service to draw people in. I'm sure that will work out really well. I'm sure that will go real well indeed, my friends. I'm sure that's going to be really successful. So, I noticed that we have 15 concurrent viewers in the stream. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. I know that it's not the best time for everybody. It's not the best time for me either. I just can't really put a video up today, and I couldn't sleep tonight. I am still going to be continue streaming for at least another hour or two. However, if you could do me a favor, please hit the like button if you're enjoying your time here today. And second, please don't leave, because I have to go get a drink. Normally, I have like a big jug of water with me when I do these streams. And what's ended up happening is I actually started the stream prematurely because I hit the stream function instead of the manage function. So I did not actually bring enough liquid with me to prepare myself. So I have to quickly run downstairs to get a drink to survive, to continue to entertain all of you and have discourse with all of you about this subject. Like, this isn't really the subject I want to build my channel on either, I should point out. I'm mainly talking about it because of the video essay that I'm working on right now regarding marketing and Games Workshop and their failure to really continue to capture lightning in a bottle. But we talk about models, we talk about lore, we talk about general 40k stuff. We do touch on the rules as well, but for the most part, I don't think the game is the best part of the game right now, ironically enough. And we do hobby streams, we do all that stuff. As you guys know, most of you guys here are, of course, subscribers. But I will be right back. I will be, 2-3 minutes. So please bear with me, my friends. I appreciate you. You're going to get to see the top of the night while I'm gone. I have returned, audience. I'm back. We are climbing the mountain together. Together we shall prosper. All right. Let's get myself back on stream here, shall we? This is actually the music I usually listen to when I'm building my Tau. This is World in Conflict's theme song, which is a video game from the mid-2000s, which is one of the best tactical war games ever released, and it was underrated at the time. It's really sad. But no, I love World in Conflict. I listened to it the entire time I wrote up my Tau backstory, and I did it the entire time I build and paint my Tau miniatures, because it's basically about the Cold War going hot. And I based my Tau on basically a plethora of very bad 20th century regimes from the mid to late 20th century. But thank you everybody for being so patient. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to go get a drink. Where were we? What subject were we on? I can't remember anymore. My mind is not my own. Yeah, some great animations would be great, Thomas. I agree. I wonder who could make those. It's a RTT. It's a real-time tactical game, so it does have some things in common with something like an RTS, like Command and Conquer. Good stream. I'm off to have a booster. Have fun. Thank you very much for being with us today, Peter Miller, and enjoy getting your booster. I gotta get my booster soon too. So they've not sent out my text message yet to be like, "Oi, get your booster." But my mom got her booster, I think about a week ago. So I think I'm probably a few weeks to a month away from having to get mine. But yeah, no, it's I hate it when you come back and you're just like, I was on a roll and I can't remember what I was doing. Oh yes, in general, I was talking about just kind of the direction of like the content on the channel. I don't want to talk too much about it at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a video essay for those of you who aren't here from the beginning of the stream. It's going to take me a little while to build it into the right format and to completely complete my thoughts on it. I actually am going to be probably reading part of it on stream here in just a second, just to show you guys what I'm kind of working on. There's a lot of it though, so I don't know if I'm going to get through all of it. So yeah, I said today we're going to discuss a matter that surrounds Warhammer rather than Warhammer itself. It involves the rise and fall of an inadvertently superb marketing system which helped propel Games Workshop to new heights. However, was later destroyed by the corporate behavior of the company, inadvertently reducing their growth significantly after several years of incredible success. The company had a good thing going on without fully realizing the ecosystem. I forgot to add an E there. The ecosystem that had been built around them. A figurative supply chain had been developed online, processing new customers into their ecosystem. Games Workshop is a luxury product and plays into people's wants to indulge in their hobby. Once the system has, quote, gotten, unquote, once someone has been, quote, gotten by Games Workshop, often they will spend years in the hobby. During that time, they'll spend often thousands of dollars. While Games Workshop cost per box is a couple dollars, while factoring in all of their costs, their margins are between 30 and 50% overall, depending on how you choose to look at the numbers. This is because of a series of things we won't get into, but it's important to at least touch on it. If someone comes into Warhammer and spends $1,000 building a 2,000 to 2,500 point army, that's essentially $500 in Games Workshop's pocket. while not factoring in paint, glue, or other potential value-added materials. This means for every new consumer, there is a chance for the company to make a large return on investment as long as the user feels invested themselves. Change that. Then we go on to the beginning of the marketing wheel that had formed, however, happened years ago, with a passionate community built around the company. Games Workshop itself has very little true marketing outside of White Dwarf, and they had been asleep at the wheel in terms of their copyright use on for some of their digital products. This is because they didn't really have much to do with their digital products. When it came to video games or other licensed content, it would be on the content creator of the time or the licensee to enforce their copyright claims, not Games Workshop. This was left as an opening and an opportunity for something unique to come out, at least in terms of Western media, which is the beginnings of an extensive fan projects. Metal is an increasingly expensive commodity because of the nature of the world today. Absolutely. Metal, that's why they moved over to resin, and they just didn't realize they were bad at resin, because they're not self-aware. They never understand. But yeah, it's a cost issue. Do you think the community has a lot of gatekeepers? Good morning to you, Forex TV. Welcome to the Big Red 40K stream. Do you think the community has a lot of gatekeepers? When I started in 8th, everyone forced onto me that the Ultramarines were bad, and people playing them should feel bad. There is a lot of gatekeeping in any community. It's not good. I personally don't really like gatekeeping. There are some things that I think are appropriate. Like I'd like to gatekeep things in the lore. I don't like to gatekeep what people want to do with their stuff. So like we're gonna hit a hot topic here, because like, as you guys know, the other day when I was on stream, I thought it was absolutely abhorrent and disgusting what that individual sent to Valrak, for instance, on Facebook. And, you know, Chaplin, whatever his name was, or whatever, douche canoe. But in the case of the content, though, and again, I feel nervous saying it, but I'm just gonna be honest, I don't really want to see female Space Marines. I know there's a small vocal minority of people in the community who would like to see that happen. So I'm not against people building and painting their own female Space Marines. I don't care. But in the lore, I wouldn't want to see it, because I feel like that is not... It has nothing to do with, like... it has nothing to do with me saying that you can't have sci-fi warriors who are females or whatever. I have an Adeptus Sororitas army that I would like to build, and I have it sitting in a box right now. And I also rated them the highest, best models right now in Games Workshop as a whole. They have the best model range, but I'd rather not, because at the end of the day, I think that the Space Marines have a very specific niche that they've kind of pushed them into. I think that I actually do think it's kind of weird that Custodes have to all be male, though, because there's less of a reason for that, because they're not really genetic imprints of the Emperor. So I think that them tacking on the Sisters of Silence was just weird. They should have just made female Custodes. Which is ironic that I'm okay with female Custodes, but I'm not okay with female Space Marines. It's just what it is. I'm not going to go die on that hill, though. I'm not going to go out there and fight for it. But that's an example of something where I think that gatekeeping in the lore is fine. But I like Ultramarines, for instance, Jenkins. I think that Ultramarines are fucking cool. And you should be able to play Ultramarines if you want to. And if someone's going to be an asshole about it, they can fuck off. Nothing to do with resale due to how much easier it is to strip metal? No. Not at all. Like, metal is expensive. Even their competitors who... Like, if you take a look at the time when they transitioned over to resin, there was a War Machine and Hordes who broadcast themselves as all metal miniatures. They basically said, you know what? Games Workshop's giving you cheap plastic. Come here to War Hordes. We're going to give you metal. And within a few years, they were over on resin too. They're like, oh, we're sorry, guys. It's plaster resin and it's resin. And people are like, what the fuck? Why? They're like, the metal. It's just too expensive. Like, you have to understand that right now there are shortages of metal. Like, you know, metal is getting expensive. Expect metal to continue to get more expensive. There's way more electronics being built than before, and it requires metal. You know, they're basically taking the world's head. You know, people forget there are billions of people who still lack a lot of modern amenities that we have in the world today, and those people all need metal. It's not. It is a cost thing, but it's not related to like, oh, the bit can't strip your models now. It's like, they weren't even thinking that. They looked at the bottom line for what it costs to produce a metal miniature, and they said, "Fuck this," because they can't sell them for. They would rather sell you a plastic miniature for $40 than a metal miniature for $40, because the plastic miniature for $40 costs them $2. The metal miniature for $40 is going to cost them $8 or $10. It depends on GW's chances of pandering. I'd play Ultramarines if I wouldn't be mercilessly bullied. That's the thing, my dude. People bullying people for playing Ultramarines are sad. People are being too sensitive. You should be able to dislike a faction, otherwise you'd be forced to have false opinions on that faction, and it sounds amazing. Yeah, but there's a difference between that and saying, hey, you're new to the game, don't play them, they're trash, and if you play them, you're trash. That's not really cool, man. Like, I personally don't like certain factions in Warhammer 40,000. Like, as you guys know, I talk shit about Chaos all the time. But I always preface it with, like, if you enjoy them, if you like them, play them. It's not on me, but like, it doesn't make you a lesser person if you enjoy the current Chaos Space Marines or the current aesthetic of them. You know, like, that's on you, dude. But like, you can even take a look at how on the rating stream when I talked about the Space Marine range, and I talked about like how I didn't like a third of the Space Marine models. Some people got genuinely offended. Like, you know, they weren't kidding around. They actually were like upset. I was like, staring at the screen like, how can you, it's just my opinion. It's not your opinion. This is always what I say. Like, I actually get mad about this whenever people get mad about an opinion that's about what's the word I'm looking for here? It's about a subjective standard. It's bizarre to me. It's like, you know, it's my opinion. I didn't say your fucking opinion, now did I? Like, you know, that actually does bother me. So I do agree. I think it's bullshit to dogpile somebody because they're playing a faction you don't like. And I've seen it happen before, and it's not cool. You know, like, again, you're free to dislike Ultramarines. If you think Ultramarines are shit, awesome. But you should not be like, if you tell people that you think Ultramarines are shit, that's fine too. If you tell someone, hey, if you play Ultramarines and you don't agree with me, you suck. Or, hey, you're a loser because you play Ultramarines. That's a good way to get in a fist fight with somebody from where I grew up, man. Like, it's just not a good idea. Until we start mining space, we'll continue running out of metal. Absolutely. I've seen adults bully children who play Ultramarines. Oh, that's so sad. Not for the kids. That's sad for the adults. You're like, oh, that's so sad. You know, like, no wrong, I'm sad for the kids too, but that's sad for the adults. It's like, oh, what happened to your life, my friend? Oh, you know what? I can't justify doing an Ultramarines army. I've got way too many other projects. But if I could do 2 Marine armies that aren't on my plan to do, I would do Ultramarines and Space Wolves. To be honest, those would be the 2 I would. Like, if I had the time to really dedicate myself to doing like a proper implementation of them, I'd do Ultramarines and Space Wolves. I have a feeling we're losing subs. Are we losing subs? No, we didn't lose anybody. We're just people dropping out of the stream. You can offend people really easily. Fuck this guy. This unsub gone. It's like, no, come back. Please, we're trying to get to 1,000. Don't leave me now. No, I like Titus. I think Titus is a great character. I think Nemeroth is a trash character. If they bring back Nemeroth, they're going to ruin Space Marine 2. Nemeroth is a big old turd. Not the type of turd you want to flush. You're like, oh, go away. You smell. You smell funny. Get out of here. But, oh man, adults bullying kids over playing Ultramarines. That's so garbage. That's so garbage. You know what? We're going to name the stream this afternoon, because we are doing the stream at 4 o'clock my time, so it's in about 12 hours. A little over 12 hours. That will be after my shift is done today. We're gonna name the stream Adults Bullying Children. That is, I'm calling it now. In fact, hold on. I'm gonna make sure people are able to see it because it is gonna happen. We are gonna, that's too good of a line. I'm sorry, guys. It has to happen. So we're gonna go over to Studio. We're gonna go over to Live Stream. We're gonna go over to Manage because, you know, as you would. So we're gonna Manage. Oh, the stream that. Oh, exiting. Boo! YouTube doesn't let me do it, but I promise it's coming. It's coming. As soon as the stream's over, I'm gonna schedule the stream for this afternoon at 4:15. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Adults bullying children, dude. That's what we're doing. Yep, have a great day, Thomas. I'll catch you later. I'll catch you next time. Yep, have yourself a good one, mate. As I said, I'm not expecting the streams in the morning to be the most successful. It's just what I have to do at the moment, due to me working and also due to not being able to really finish off the entire video essay. But I'll continue reading off parts of this for you guys, for those of you who are still here. Fan projects have existed in various forms for an incredibly long time, not just for Warhammer, but for a series of other franchises. Some companies embrace them, and some companies attempt to fight the death of their IP. It depends on how that organization views the health of their business. In this case, I'll explain at least part of the argument. In broken terminologies, I know, to go over why, in general, it's better for a business to let people do what they're doing. Prior to that, let me state that GW and their marketing, their marketing and their legal team are trying to crack down because they don't believe that this is the case. And they see value somewhere else regarding the IP, so discouraging fan content is what they are attempting to do to add value to their company. So they believe it's going to add value. So, this is not being done out of malice. It's being done out of a attempt to fulfill their obligations. When fan creations and content creators build up communities and build up media assets, this has a knock-on effect on providing an immense amount of free marketing. Marketing is an extremely tricky thing. Huge media campaigns and multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns can have very minimal impact on bringing in new people in many instances, depending on the product and campaign. But word of mouth, i.e. people you know and trust spreading the word of your product, is the most effective marketing there is. It's organic, it's trusted, and best of all, it's baked into the cost of your other products. You don't have to spend additional money on it. If someone loves a novel series, say the Soul Hunter trilogy, and tells their friends to read/buy the books on their recommendation, this leads to new sales without having to do as much marketing and promotion yourself. Things that would cost money otherwise. Like I pay Great Knights, as you can probably tell, but I would want to start a Space Marine chapter that has more options. Just play Grey Knights. I'm gonna gatekeep the shit out of this. Don't you play those other Space Marines, Jenkins. Get back into playing your fucking Grey Knights where you belong. No, it's awesome, dude. If you want to play Ultramarines, build them. They're one of my favorite chapters. They're amazing. If anybody talks shit to you about it, just be like, look, I know this guy named the Big Red Bear. He's on YouTube. He tells you to shut the fuck up and stop being a gatekeeping little bitch. Guess I'm forced to watch as I cause this. Come on, Jenkins. What's going on? What's going on, Jenkins? To go further into detail, with the advent of the internet and social media, word of mouth spreads much faster than before, and the reach of this has expanded to well beyond anything a person could have done before, even 15 years ago. Content creators will create trust with an audience and spread word through various projects. This has been perverted in many industries, where paid promotions will go to individual influencers for products they've not used. Influencers themselves are really marketers. They are just marketers of themselves. They often work in collaboration with various brands in order to receive payments. The best influencers will choose very carefully who they choose to associate, what they choose to associate themselves with, though, and will only recommend brands that they genuinely like, as to not betray the trust of their audience. Crypto rug pulls are the best example of the opposite of this. Where influencers recommend a terrible crypto asset and are paid as those they pushed it on are left holding the bag. Why we have segued this far from Warhammer? It's giving you an idea of how the system works, or to quantify it for the audience. I do apologize. I don't wish to be patronizing, but this is a longer subject than I normally cover on the channel. Oh, Galileo Discanis, how dare you have an opinion? How dare you opine? How dare you, sir? How dare you? Well, Jenkins, I don't know how tall you are, and I don't know how old you are, but the answer to that is yes on both fronts. You, my friend, now have yourself an official big brother. Don't worry, just because he happens to be furred and he happens to be, from two parts of the world that are very far away from one another, and neither of them have the highest IQ going on. Just because he also happens to be sitting in a room surrounded by unfinished Warhammer projects. Just because he has a beautiful dog named Ares is neither here nor there. So, I am older than you. However, I am shorter than you. You are 2 inches taller than me. And as a result, I actually no longer consider myself your big brother, and I am a bitter, angry man. How dare you be taller than me? That is the worst thing someone can do. You disgust me. How dare you? You know what's really scary? I'm 12 years older, and every time I see, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's like 20. I can't be that much older. I'm like, fuck, I'm 35. I'm going on 36. I'm closer to 50 than I am to 20. I'm gonna die soon. Oh shit! Oh shit! We're going to a grave. I might as well dig the 6 feet out from the backyard now and just get myself ready. Well, I am your big brother, Miles. Nobody told you this. Nobody of any sane sense would. I'm just kidding. Oh, Crunk. Crunk is here, everybody. Crypto is the future of bankruptcy. Well, I am going to tell you right now, Crunk. You being 42 just means you got your first foot in the grave, my friend. I myself am a nimble and young 35. I can feel fresh and awake and aware. I will have you know my brain has only been breaking down for 7 years, good sir. I am far better off than yourself, who has had 14 years in the breakdown of the brain. Thank you very much, Mr. Crunk. How dare you, Tuppy? Tuppy, are you looking to get banned? Also, welcome, Tuppy. I normally have not seen you very often on my streams, but thank you for coming in. I always appreciate having a fellow BattleTech connoisseur in the stream. So, thank you very much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed the stream so far. I know there's not many people on the stream, but I never expect... Oh my goodness. Crunk, you're attacking Tuppy? Time zones are a wonderful thing. No, you can expect some more morning streams from me while I'm working. So, for instance, today we're actually going to have 2 streams. The first one I'm doing before work, which is right now, which I will continue to do for probably another hour and a half before I get to sleep for 2 hours before work starts. You promised me this wouldn't happen, Crunk. You promised me this wouldn't happen. Crunk. Crunk. I think that the experiment has failed, Crunk. What do you think? Crunk, what happened to the... Sorry, Tuppy, I'm just messing around. Where's your wrench? Where's your precious wrench now, Crunk? I'm, quote, at work, unquote, at the moment. Just got nothing to do, so I've got a few seconds to monitor. Ah, that's cool, man. Well, I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. It's a slower stream at this time in the morning for very obvious reasons. But at the very least, you know, there are a few UK viewers who, this man, I know, I'll add you as a mod again. Just messing around, just messing about, Crunk. But no, like, you know, I'm hoping a few of my UK viewers will have an opportunity to at least know that I'm still alive with the morning streams. Again, I do have a big video. Yes, now I can return to Monkey. We are all Monkey. But no, a few of my UK viewers will have an opportunity to at least view the stream a little bit in the mornings. You know, it's not an ideal time for them, I'm aware, but better to do this than not be able to post a video today or anything like that. I've got like as I said, I'm working on this big essay that's going to be heavily edited, and I'm like halfway through the essay. It's such a big subject to confront with so many examples that I have to put in that it's going to take a while. It is going to take a while to get this up and running. So yeah, I have why have we segued so far from Warhammer? It's to give you an idea of how the system works, to quantify it for the audience. I do apologize. I do not wish to be patronizing, but this is a subject that I don't normally cover on my channel. We've talked about influencers, which are one component of the wheel. I've named it as the title of this video. The circle of life of marketing. But where the fan animations come in, you may ask. Well, in this case, they've built media assets. Based on GW's IP. They've been boosted on various platforms, but principally YouTube, to reach new large audiences. This marketing has actually cost Games Workshop nothing. The creators went out on their own and built high quality, medium quality, and low quality content to spread their love of the franchise, or to creatively express themselves after being inspired by a book or a concept from Games Workshop that Games Workshop nurtured over the years, and put these things out into the world. What results in these instances are broad levels of appreciation from fans who are already there, but it gives them a material to pass on to their friends. Better yet, not only does it do this, it also, through organic word of mouth and algorithms, draws in new people and gives them visual representation of the franchise which GW owns, though it's principally 40K. I'm in the UK. It's almost 11:30 in the morning. Thank goodness for that. I wake up every morning and do morning-based things, Jenkins. Isn't that exciting? Yes. Well, no. Tuppy, how old are you, Tuppy, if I dare ask? You don't have to answer if you just say you don't want to answer, but I do want to point out that there was a time, my friend. It's much like the Tau Empire. There are spheres of expansion for Games Workshop over time. And I would like to explain part of that in terms of what I've seen throughout my 28 years in the hobby. I just want to make sure that I have a point of reference to not be like, oh, well, you know, you may have been there too, friend, but you forget the time of blah, blah, blah. You know, like, I just want to make sure that I'm not being an asshole. A better question might be, how long have you been in the hobby? You got in the hobby in 4th edition, so you missed the first sphere of expansion. Because the first giant expansion of Warhammer really comes in 3rd edition. 3rd edition was a huge launch. It propelled the game to new heights at the time. It grew the franchise significantly. In that, you had things like the Eye of Terror campaign. You had a lot of players around the world building and painting Warhammer armies like they'd never expected or seen before. It grew way past anything second edition could have dreamed of. Like Warhammer 3rd edition was a massive expansion. Good morning, Martin. So then, after 3rd edition, the next true big expansion wasn't 4th or 5th edition. Those kind of just, they had some growth, but they weren't significant. Dawn of War 1. Dawn of War 1 was the second great expansion of the GW audience. It brought in an immense number of people. How many Bloodraven armies came out of that? How many people showed up? Like, Space Marines, you guys, I played Dawn of War. Like, Dawn of War reached out and touched 12 million people. There are 12 million people who bought Dawn of War 1. Like, and then there are about 9 or 10 million people who bought Dawn of War 2. Like, in its various forms. So we're talking huge market outreach. We're talking like a massive group of people, and a percentage of those people, hundreds of thousands of people, started to get into the hobby. So Astartes was big, but it actually didn't add as much as Dawn of War did at the time. But it created a lot of buzz, and Astartes definitely is one of the big spheres of expansion that GW got over time. It's just the first truly stunning level of expansion really came from Dawn of War. After 3rd edition, so you have 3rd edition, Dawn of War, and you have a few other expansions, but Astartes was a big part of that expansion of the IP. Very big. Fan animations like Astartes, because there's multiple fan animations that were also happening around the same time, also heavily contributed to it. Have GW created any factions to cater to foreign markets and not due to making great factions that have come from true inspiration? I don't think so, actually. There's no, like, what army would you say that they could have made to appeal to foreign markets? I mean, the Tau certainly don't. People might point to the Tau to be like, oh, the Tau were made for Space Asia or whatever. No, most people, no. They weren't. They did base Tau Fire Warriors on like a basic PLA soldier, but for the most part, people in Asia don't prolifically play Tau. They don't see themselves as analogous to the Tau, nor should they, because the Tau are aliens, and that's just not how that works. I think that the only army they've ever built to cater to one group of people is Sisters of Battle, which they believed would cater to women. And funnily enough, these are just my experience, the majority of women I've ever met who play Warhammer 40,000 play Tyranids or Eldar. Some form of Eldar, some various form of Eldar. I have never personally met a girl who plays Warhammer 40,000 who plays Sisters of Battle, which I think is really funny. But to be fair, Sisters of Battle were made in a completely different era. So modern Games Workshop, as of the time it was a publicly traded company, has not made an army to cater to a group of people, except for maybe the Sisters of Silence. Maybe. I'm not fully convinced of that. But even then, it wouldn't have been for a foreign market. It would have been to attract a specific demographic. But again, I should point out that it very rarely does. Again, I've not personally met many 40k gamers who are girls who tend to play Sisters of Battle. It's not been my personal experience. Again, I tend to find that most of them that I've personally met play Eldar or Tyranids. The Tyranid ones I don't understand. The Eldar I get, but it just shows that I'm a dumbass. I'm like, why Tyranids? Why? Why? They're terrible. Not that they're a terrible concept. I mean, like, they eat everything. They're terrible. It's like, that's why I like it. I'm like, all right, fucking there we go. Whatever makes you happy. It was 3rd edition fantasy, at least as popular as 2nd edition 40k. And 3rd edition 40k blew up, and slowly fantasy went on a slow downward spiral. Fantasy actually never lost money. It never went into a true downward spiral. Actually, the end of Warhammer Fantasy really began at the end of 7th edition, when Matt Ward fucked it up with the Demon's Army book. Oh! But the real thing that killed Warhammer Fantasy was actually intellectual property. They couldn't control the IP. They freaked out after the Chapter House lawsuit, and that is the single biggest contributing factor as to why Warhammer Fantasy died. Of all things that they did, 100% you can actually point 90% of the reason why they've squatted Warhammer Fantasy to Chapter House and losing that lawsuit, which, by the way, they deserve to lose. It was a preposterous lawsuit. Greetings, Jorg Graka. Heard in the past, like the late 90s, and certain mainly guard regiments were not sold in particular countries due to cultural sensitivities. Maybe. Again, I was a kid at the time, so I can't touch on that. I was playing 40k in the late 90s, but I wouldn't have known that they're not going to sell certain guard regiments in certain regions. I've heard about the Tau and Necrons. If you look at the faction release times and how they were expanding they released both Tau and Necrons in their current formats during 3rd edition because the game was expanding and doing well, and you can thank Andy Chambers for that. Andy Chambers is a lot like Jordan Weisman. He's a personal hero of mine in terms of people in the industry who had a foundational change on my life, which is funny because I was actually already stewardessly following 40k by the time Chambers was like around by like the late part of 3rd edition. I used to talk mad shit. So like, fucking Andy Chambers, he ruins everything, and now I'm in the background like, please, Andy, please come back. Ruthless, Crunk. I know you're. I'm not even gonna say what you sent to me, Crunk. That's fucking ruthless. Most people I know who identify as female play Eldar, Elven Rates, Nids, or Space Wolves. Yeah, so, as I said, like I've not met many who play Space Wolves, but again, like most of the women who I know who play Warhammer tend to play Eldar of some form, whether it's Drakari or Craft Worlds, and they tend to play Tyranids. At least from my personal experience. That is in no way scientific. It's just anecdotal. Sisters of Battle armor is nice. I love Sisters of Battle. I think they're a great looking army. What was the context of the Chapter House lawsuit? Oh man, I gotta touch on this in this big fucking video essay too. Fuck. Alright, so anyway, what Chapter House was Chapter House was the beginning of the irrational, lobotomized Games Workshop legal department. Basically coming out and trying to control things outside of their control. I'm going to answer this more in depth in a second. Can you explain for me what loss... Oh, yeah, so again, more people on the lawsuit. It's thanks to Andy Chambers that I'm enjoying and growing my Necron force. Exactly, Andy Chambers is the king. So, what was the Chapter House lawsuit? There was a company making third-party bits for Games Workshop models that was called Chapter House. They built vehicle expansions, model editions, etc., and they basically made things the Games Workshop themselves were not making. Games Workshop had a shit fit about this and decided to bring them to court. But to take them to court, they had to enforce their intellectual property rights. And they said, you know what? We own everything that we make, including orcs, goblins, dwarves, and elves. We own all of it. It's ours. And they can't make models called Elf Arm because we own elves, motherfucker. It was made for our elves, and we own the IP to the concept of our elves. Well, this, as you can imagine, did not do very well in court. Chapter House did lose on a few things where they were very too specific in terms of what they were selling, but for the most part, they won the majority of the claims in the lawsuit. And what happened after that is Games Workshop Legal had an aneurysm and a panic attack all in one go. They sat there, they went, oh my god! Oh! Because they didn't own the IP. So they basically realized that they didn't own anything in Warhammer Fantasy. They own the Empire as a name, but the Empire is just based off the Holy Roman Empire. I can just get some German state troopers from the appropriate era as plastic miniatures from somewhere else, put them on some GW bases and march them up the field. I can buy dwarf miniatures from anyone. Orcs and goblins? Fuck you, you own orcs and goblins, you sons of bitches. Like, they didn't own anything. And that realization came in that they had no control over that IP. They had a complete meltdown. I know, like... ridiculous. And so what ends up happening is Games Workshop starts the process of ending the old world. And why? Because they're just like, no reason. no reason to stay in this. We're going to build a new game that we control all the IP for, that we have a unique control over everything. We don't care about this system, because this system, even though it's never lost us money, only represents 20% of our overall revenue and only represents 1/10 of our profits. Anybody who tells you that Games Workshop lost money on Warhammer Fantasy, they're out of their minds. It was actually bigger than many of the other games that have ever existed in the hobby. It never lost money. Ever. It never ever lost money. It didn't make enough money to satisfy Games Workshop when compared to Warhammer 40,000. And guess what? Age of Sigmar ain't that much better, but guess what? Age of Sigmar, they own the IP to. That's why they cling on to it. They're hoping to make it appealing. It's never going to be appealing. It sucks. It's not a very good IP. But we've already talked about that earlier today. So as a result, the Chapter House lawsuit basically showed Games Workshop that they couldn't do it anymore. Now you'll note, after the Chapter House lawsuit, what else happened? Eldar are now Eldari. Dark Eldar are now Drukhari. All of these, a lot of these factions got renamed. Why did they get renamed? Because Games Workshop did not own the title of the army. Eldar is something that was from Tolkien as well. They couldn't copyright it. They tried. It didn't work. So that's why every unit that comes out has a unique name. Why are the Beast Snagaboys, being released? They're being released to try to make them IP friendly. So that is basically what has happened. As I said, Games Workshop, a lot of it's all about intellectual property control. A lot of it. You have to understand their desires to control their IP as a major influence and factor behind the business decisions that they make. So as a result, though, that's why they killed Warhammer Fantasy. It had nothing to do with it lost money. It's nope, it just became inconvenient. And they said we can make something new and make more money off that new thing because it will be impossible for us to control the old world in the way that we want to, and to make it unique and distinct enough that that it will continue to be a product that we could sell. Better to start over. That's when they started to constantly call Space Marines Adeptus Astartes all the time. Why? Because they own the IP to that. They own the IP to the Adeptus Astartes. Now here's the thing. That's actually a separate lawsuit. DMCA took down a bunch of books, including a book called Space Marine, on Amazon. But there were others. And they're like, yeah, you can't sell these products. This is ridiculous. We own Space Marines. And this went on for months. These poor authors basically lost their livelihoods because of Games Workshop coming in and saying, we own the concept of Space Marines. Again, Starship Troopers would like a fucking call, thank you. And what ended up happening is Amazon itself eventually stepped in and said, if you want to enforce these DMCAs, and this is Amazon, which is like a nefarious fucking company, but even Amazon was like, this is ridiculous. You want to enforce this DMCA? We will take you to court. We're going to work with this firm as well, which was a firm that defends people's intellectual property rights on the internet. They said, we're going to work with them, no problem. Yep. We're coming for you unless you stop. We're fucking coming. And Games Workshop's like, oh, Amazon wants to fight? Never mind. That's one of the funniest ones ever. It's like, oh, Amazon wants to fight. You can just imagine the shit bricks that dropped in GW's legal department when Amazon's just like, yeah, so we're going to fight, right? They're like, but you're Amazon. Even a broken clock's right twice a day. Oh, that's a bad one. It's like, hey, you guys, let's fight Amazon. And Amazon's legal department is almost bigger than Games Workshop's entire company. It's like, good luck, buddy. GW, retreat! Retreat! Run for your lives! Satino, you need to fight. Guys, we need you to fight Amazon. You guys can do that, right? Right. But what's interesting is what the fuck GW is telling their investors. They must be a little sus about what GW is doing. No, they're not. Not at all. They are heading The heading they are on maybe isn't making money that it was promised. Well, that part's the investors don't understand why, because the investors don't get the market. They don't understand modern marketing. You have to understand how blind the majority of the business community is to actually how products grow and are adopted. They claim they know, but you have to remember most people who are in marketing departments are failed marketers. You're doing marketing. So let's take a look at Duncan Rhodes, another GW example. Why did Duncan Rhodes strike out on his own? Because he got bigger than GW. So what did GW do? They ensured that they would never have another Duncan Rhodes. That's a disaster. Duncan Rhodes might have struck out on his own and made a big name for himself and made a lot of money. But he made Games Workshop a shit ton more money than the current marketing pattern of Games Workshop does. So they would have been better off continuing to either pay Duncan more money and work with him, or they would have been better off allowing a new star to come to the fore. They never did that. They never allowed that to happen again. It's the big red burn. Who'd I burn? What'd I do? I don't know what you mean. So, like, at the end of the day, they had an influencer working for them. It was Duncan. Hey, I know Le Bigon, it's because there was no video this morning. So, to make up for the fact that I won't have a video ready for a little while, we're going to be doing streams every morning for a little while until I get my large video essay done. I know, it's all right, Le Bigon. It's all right. We're going to be okay. Everybody's going to be all right. Everybody's going to be okay. Yeah, Primaris Space Marines are a big part of that. It's all IP, man. All IP. You guys might know this. Why aren't there many GIFs on IG Warhammer related? I'm not sure. Marketers in marketing are failed marketers. I'm sorry, Libigon. Well, they are. That's genuinely, they are. Anybody who's half good at marketing is an influencer themselves already. Because you can make much more money on your own than working directly for a company. What you want to do is you want to be associated with that company so that they pay you, but you're still making money on the side. That's the thing you have to understand. That, like, if you are a major influencer, like if you take a look at like the Paul brothers. The Paul brothers are brilliant marketers. They're complete shitbags, but they're brilliant marketers. They have built a multi-million dollar empire around themselves, and they are associated with products. Same thing's true for the Kardashians. Absolute shitbags. Doesn't matter though. If you're just talking from the perspective of marketing, they're brilliant marketers. They've built an entire media empire around themselves. How? By being in business with themselves. And companies choose to associate with them. That's the key. So that is how they have captured and controlled a large portion of the American market, is because the corporations themselves are ineffectual at marketing at this point. The people who are actually good at marketing do marketing for themselves and then hire themselves out to the companies. I know, Mitchie. It's the way it had to be. I couldn't put a video up this morning, and we probably won't have a video up for a few days to a few weeks, depending on how hard it is for me to do this large video essay. So that means because of my work schedule, which is I work from 7 in the afternoon till 4 in the afternoon. No, sorry, 7 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. A lot of people in Europe would miss out on their opportunity to see the Big Red Bear. This is their opportunity to do so. It's not perfect. It's not ideal. But I'll be streaming in the mornings and in the night. So I will be doing both. Right now we're just going over how marketers... the Big Red Burn, how most people in marketing for companies tend to be failed marketers. They're not accomplished people in marketing, is what it boils down to. That's like, you know, they might claim some accomplishment here or there, but again, they don't get it. They're the people who couldn't do it for themselves. The people who can do it for themselves are the ones who understand it, and they're the ones who make the money. That's what it boils down to. Like, you know, there's multiple components to this that involve, like, human psychology, energy of you yourself, how you basically present yourself, how you choose, who you choose to appeal to, why you choose to appeal to that person. It's not a simple thing. Marketing is a very deep, socially aware thing that goes well beyond just being like, oh, I hired some people to put up some fucking ads. It's like, well, it's not marketing. That's just trying to get the word out, and I suppose it is, but it's not modern marketing. It's not how the internet has adopted and changed the world. But marketing is the bane of my professional life. I was on the marketing board for one of the companies I worked for a while. I understood most of this before I went in there, and I don't have a degree in marketing or anything. It's just this is easily figure out. If you spend any time watching why people watch the content they watch and who they watch and why they watch them, you can figure out very quickly how marketing works. Kind of like what Mini Wargames are doing, making their own Chaos Space Marines and Corrupted Sisters models that GW is neglecting. Yeah. Just to be totally frank, that's it's a smart, big brain moves on their part. No joke. I love Mini Wargaming. Well, I loved Mini Wargaming. I think they're okay. I like them. They're a Canadian brand. They're a good asset to the community. They just don't make a lot of content that I'm interested in. Not anymore. I've moved on, but they are good, for the most part, good people. They are good people who work there, and they're. I've not met them personally or anything. I've met some of the people that play on tabletop. I knew JT for years. I haven't seen him in a few years. I fucking love that guy. He's such an incredible human being. I can't say enough nice things about JT. Space Marine Steve, I know him as well. I actually had beef with him for a while. I apologized to him because I was an asshole to him. But he's a good person as well. Very gracious person. I was really surprised at how gracious he was when he accepted my apology. He was I didn't know what was going to happen there, and he was a very very good person about it. Very much, perhaps even better than I'd be. Actually, almost definitely better than I'd be. I was a real dickhead to him. So yeah, 100%. But there's a lot of big Canadian brands that have come out of the influencer community for Warhammer 40,000, and also that have done a lot of interesting things on their own, and collabs and business building on their own. But if Elon had his way, we'd all be marketing. We'd be marketing to your brain. Fucking awful. Oh my god, get it away from me. Two Wound Legends shilling products and being better than Chaos Space Marines. You're fucking right, ain't hard. What Mini Wargaming used to be a pioneers, I think they need to keep it fresh. I agree. Mini Wargaming is doing a lot of what GW should be doing. The Mini Wargaming Vault and how they market is what Warhammer Plus should be doing. I have a completely different opinion on how Warhammer Plus should have been run, and I think it should be very different from what Mini Wargaming itself does as well. Though I will point out, Mini Wargaming is a significantly better business model overall than Warhammer Plus is. It's not what I think they should do, but if you had to pick between what Warhammer Plus is currently doing and what Mini Wargaming is doing, even though Mini Wargaming doesn't have the same support because they're not an official product, Mini Wargaming is a better product than Warhammer Plus. Warhammer Plus is not a good value. It's awful value. It does nothing right, and I will be making a longer format essay video talking about all of the problems that Warhammer Plus has as well. I don't like to make negative content. If you guys look at most of my videos are, pretty analytical and pretty fair. I don't really like to go out there and just fucking bury something because I think it's not cool, to be totally frank. But in the case of Warhammer Plus and GW's current marketing strategy are awful and deserve to be buried. It's not a matter of being negative. I like GW. It's a prefix. It's not like I'm just oh, fuck GW, they're a terrible company, blah, blah, blah. I actually like them. They provide a lot of the stuff that I like. But you'd have to be blind not to see what the problems are there. Warhammer Plus does not have shield drones, which is actually the main reason why it's such a terrible product. I mean, we can look right here, guys. Look at this. Warhammer Plus. So, when I first open up Warhammer Plus here, what's the first thing I see? Okay? Hold on, we're gonna have this on screen in a second here, fellas. What's the first thing I see, guys? I see a shitty Sigmarite and a mediocre Space Marine. Where is my fucking drone? Where's the drone? across this whole thing. Not a single drone, not a single, not even a tile miniature, but particularly a drone. Not a single drone is on here. Disgusting. I'm surprised GW has not tried to eat them up and sacrifice them to the Warhammer Blood skin sinkhole. Oh my god, you're fucking ruthless. You're fucking ruthless, York. If you think about the electrical stimulus of the brain can manipulate pleasure centers, making sense of people like to be like shit, no jobs, no problem. You can do anything in ecstasy to take, you know, the Elon. Yeah, it's just to make slaves, effectively. Awesome. That's what I'd like to be when I'd like to grow up to be a fucking drone. Thank you very much. But does war? I think GW thought they were bigger than they are with Warhammer Plus. They needed to deal with Netflix. No, okay, so you're looking at this wrong. And I'm not saying that to belittle you, just to point out, Jenkins. I'm just saying you are looking at it wrong. Don't look at Warhammer Plus as being competition with Netflix. Look at Warhammer Plus as a value-added product. Don't look at it like so. When you buy a box of Games Workshop models, that's the core product. When you buy the paints and you buy the utilities and you buy the glue, those are add-on products. They are not necessarily value additive products. Value additive products are additional services that you're offering for the most part. So if you if you buy a car, that's the core product. If you bring your car in for repairs or for additional warranty or anything like that, that's all value added because it's a combination of labor, financial services, etc. You're adding value to the customer without necessarily giving them something physical in return. Games Workshop is using Warhammer Plus as a value-added product, meaning that you're buying the models from them. Awesome. You're doing this with them. Awesome. They're going to provide additional value to you by providing that through Warhammer Plus, where you will pay them monthly to get additional lore content, to get additional archive content, to get additional painting content, to get additional battle report content. Like, even if you look at the way that they advertise it, dominate the tabletop, access core rules of Warhammer 40,000, access. So they're saying that, like, if you buy this, you will be better at the core games. That's not something that Netflix does. Netflix does not have value additive in the same way. They are looking at it from the perspective of, if you are one of our clients, if you buy this product, it will enhance your Warhammer experience. That's the way they approach it. That's the right way to approach it. They fucked it up. That's just the thing, Jenkins. That's just the thing. You're straight on. But don't look at it as like, is this a streaming service? It's a value-added product. The problem is a lot of value-added products don't add enough value. They don't add enough value to the consumer. That's why you often need sales staff to push them, which doesn't always work either. And because you want your sales staff ideally to build trust with your clients. You're better off selling more core product in the long term to people who trust you than you are selling value-added products to people who don't trust you. Just to be blunt, right? You don't want an adversarial relationship with your clients because you push too hard for services that you really shouldn't be providing if you can't provide them adequately enough. So, Gino, it's not just a matter of it's not the quantity of the content even, it's the quality. So, hey, whale come back, Peter. Whale come! Byron, the UFC did that before, selling and creating their own app, removing sponsors, adding rules to dumb down the sport, among other things. I hope that's not Warhammer plan. Well, I mean, whether it's their plan or not, it's not going very well. It's made for a hobbyist enthusiast like us. They just haven't done a good job. Okay, so yeah, that's just the thing. We talked about this a lot on stream yesterday, so I don't know if people want me to rehash it or not. But the bat reps are the real quicker. We had almost 20 weeks in Warhammer Plus, and they only have 9 bat reps up, 3 AOS, 1 kill team, 540k. That's pathetic. It is pathetic. And I went over it yesterday. Like, again, I can, if people want me to rehash this, so hold on. Do you want me to rehash Warhammer Plus content? Warhammer Plus abuse from yesterday. So there is a poll up now, which will determine if we're going to carry down this road. Because again, I don't really want to be a negative guy about it. I'd like to be constructive, but part of it's going to involve me just ripping them a new asshole. So if people want me to do that, I know there's only 16 of you guys in chat right now, but it doesn't matter. If that's what you want, hit yes. If you don't want it, hit no, and we can change subject or whatever. Like I will do what the majority of the people in the chat want me to do, but the vote is up now. Jorg, nay! He's a horse now. He's evolved past being a man. Don't worry, it's not just GW who do this. Currently working on a product sales sold that was not design qualified yet. Yeah, it's the same thing. I've worked places that have done the same thing, man. That's why I'm not like. They're not evil. They're just incompetent. That's just the truth of the matter. They're not evil. They're just incompetent. My God, actual votes on stream. Yeah, dude. Like normally, I'm confident enough in doing what I want to do to just carry on with it, but I don't want people because we did talk about this yesterday. I don't want to overwhelm people with the same content. Again, I like to keep things fresh, but it seems like people want me to talk about it, and people want me to talk about it. So, oh yeah, way more people want me to talk about it. I do votes every stream, dude. Sometimes they're jokes, sometimes they're not, but like we do votes of some sort every stream. This is how I ended up starting to build a Chaos Knight on stream instead of a Wraith Knight. I made a terrible mistake. That GW price whip does not make me run faster. Alright, he wasn't here, so let's go over this. So why is Warhammer Plus a bad product? So Warhammer Plus is a bad product on every level. There's nothing worthwhile about it, and it reflects its poor quality in every measure. So I'm going to go over the animation parts first. Which is animation's poor quality. Yes, even Angels of Death is not great quality. Yes, it's okay. It's better than the other content. It's not good quality. They should have doubled the budget of whatever they gave them. They should have allowed them to build a more in-depth product. Why? Because if people are going to you to pay for it, and you're offering them as a product, and they're not donating to you, you have to remember, this is not the same thing as a fucking Patreon. A Patreon or a membership program is something that people are willing to donate to you because they're passionate about that individual, that influencer, or that product. When it's a product that you're selling, you're now doing a completely different thing. You're offering a paid-for service, and people have different expectations for a paid-for service rather than supporting a project or an individual that they're working with. It's just not the same thing. People disassociate those two concepts, as they should, because they aren't the same thing. So, give people power to the bear. Whoa! But anyway, so as a result, Games Workshop offers you relatively mediocre to bad animations. You are not joining Warhammer Plus to get shitty animations. All of them are bad. Hammer and Bolter is a joke. It's bad on every level. I know Valrak says he likes the stories, but he doesn't like the animation. I like neither of them. They're a big old pile of dog shit. Both, like on every level, it's a big old pile of dog shit. I am sorry, it's not good. If you look at their premium weekly shows, there A, isn't enough content in their premium weekly shows. B, you can get that content somewhere else. And C, things like Lore Masters are a joke because you're not... For people who are joining Warhammer Plus, who is that audience? Warhammer Plus is not made up by some fucking kid who walked into a Warhammer store and picked up his first box of Space Marines. Warhammer Plus is really a place that should be built for people who are veterans, who have big armies or have armies already, who want to hone their skills, who want to learn more about the hobby, but they already have an idea about the hobby. Meaning it's where you basically want to feed the core. If you look in the gaming industry, there was an E3 years ago. I forget his name. He was one of the analysts there. He goes, E3 isn't there for the casual gamer. E3 is there for you to feed your core audience. You want to shovel your product to these people to get them hyped up for them to promote it for you. Warhammer Plus is very much the same thing. Warhammer Plus is there to feed the core. meaning that you should have some introductory videos like, hey, if you're new to Warhammer, check out these videos. But then outside of that, everything that they do on there should be for advanced people or people looking to move into an advanced level, or for them to confirm things that the fan base want to know about. So like the Lore Master video shouldn't be a generic video reading a fucking Abaddon Wikipedia or a Ghazghkull Wikipedia. That's ridiculous. That's a terrible waste of their time, your time, and it's not worth your money. I can find that out from a Luden video. I can find that out from a video, like a Wikipedia page. They read his fucking wiki. Congratulations. What they should be doing is they should be doing interviews about the core concepts behind why they designed the character the way he is. They should be talking with the people responsible to it. So like when they're doing it, they should be talking to Just Goodwin. Do like a 3-minute section where you've got an interview with Just Goodwin. This is why we designed Abaddon. This is why we designed him the way he is. Have some clips from Aaron Dembski Bowden, where Bowden is sitting there going, I viewed Abaddon as being this way. He's meant to be this. He's meant to be the Satan of Warhammer 40,000. Then you cut back over to the Lore Master, goes, yes, this and this, and then there's some controversy about Abaddon because of this event and this event. Let us add some clarity. This is how this actually went down. This is how this actually happened. This is our vision of the company of what we want this character to do, and these are the actual events of what it was. They don't do that. They're just like, hey guys, he's a bad guy. He has the talent of Horus. He has the demon sword of Draknian. You're just like, no one cares. It's like, it's completely ill thought, completely composed wrong. It doesn't appeal to the audience who would buy in on the service. They're treating it as people who are going to buy in who just entered the hobby, not people who know what's going on. People who bought Warhammer Plus know who the fuck Ghazghkull Thraka is. They know who Be'lakor the Dark Master is. They know who Abaddon the Despoiler is. They know who these characters are. Don't get rid of the mystique. And I hate saying it. Like, be like, hey, look, we're going to write this as though it's mysterious, but this is what we actually put this as. This is the definitive answer. Because there's no other reason to look at the Lore Master videos other than that. Because you're not going to do it better than someone like Luden, because Luden's entire job is dependent on it. Yours is not. So like it's you have to have value added. You notice the term I'm using there, value added. The best part of Warhammer Plus is their masterclass painting. Then they don't do enough of it. And the problem is because the masterclass painting has so much competition from around the internet, it gets lost in the shuffle. But it is the best and only reason to buy Warhammer Plus, and it's not worth the ticket price. So then you go over, they add an app, their apps are shitty. Congratulations, you have a bad app. You go over to their archive is low resolution. Congratulations, you can't zoom in, and they pull a bunch of the stuff out of the content because they want using old rules. Boo this concept. Get out of here. Add the rules too. No one's gonna get confused, and they think so little of their audience who buy in. They think that if someone reads a White Dwarf from 20 years ago and sees the 3rd edition stat line, that they're going to be like, I don't understand how to use the stat line with the current game. Like, don't worry about that, Timmy. We took it out for you. That way you can just use the current game. Isn't that right, little Timmy? No need to be exposed to a previous rule system. Oh, no, no, no. Not here. No, good sir. We watched 1984. This goes in the memory hole. Insulting your audience, not a good look. Not a good way to run things, so boom. Badly done archive system. Badly done. They're low content bat reps. No one gives a shit. Not only that, there are better places that have done better bat reps. They can't even keep their people on staff there. This is what a disaster looks like. It just is. It's a disaster on every level. And so, like, I'm intending on doing a video about it. And not only that, Warhammer Plus actually would have worked better if they hadn't gutted the fan animations, because more people would be willing to look for Warhammer Plus after they'd consumed the fan animations. They would have been drawn towards it like a moth to the flame, looking for better and higher quality content. They didn't do that. It's one of the worst conceived value added products I've ever seen, but that's not that incorrect. Like, most value added products are failures because they don't understand the audience they're trying to cater to. It's not. You don't need to spend money to make money. That's not what needs to happen, Robert. You need to invest correctly to make money, and they don't. if they're spending money, and they have spent some money, they're not spending money in the right circles. They're throwing their money in the wrong direction. It would be nice to have an interview with Blanche. Yeah, they could do interviews with a bunch of the veterans who helped build the system up. Boom. Put that behind a paywall. People will pay for that. And exactly, that's what I hoped for, instead of feeling like I've just read the back of a book. Yeah, you've been given the back of a book, and they're treating you in a patronizing capacity because they don't actually think much of you. They patronize you on Warhammer Plus, which is even more insulting because they basically assume that the average person on Warhammer Plus is a new player. That is so far from the truth. That is not your target demographic. They don't know their own audience, and they don't understand how to reach their own audience. And remember what I mentioned before, that people in marketing who work for large companies tend to be people who are bad at marketing? You remember when I mentioned that? This is part of that. The marketing department is responsible for Warhammer Plus in the current state it's in. Just remember that. They're not people who are good at their jobs. And that doesn't mean they're bad people. Again, like, I want to point out, I don't hate these people or whatever. They're just not good at their job, and they need to learn better. And maybe they will be given an opportunity to learn, and maybe they will grow this platform into something more worthwhile. Or maybe there are people who are stuck in their ways. They're not very good at their job. They basically are there to do a combination of cronyism and nepotism, and they will continue to be bad at it until either the service gets wound down or until Games Workshop changes the division head, in which case most people who are under him will be fired or let go from the company. You tell me which one you think is more likely. I think that it's one of those two. No, fan animation should not be on Warhammer Plus. 4X TV, you have to understand that Warhammer Plus is also anti-growth. Because by hiding all of your introductory content behind Warhammer Plus, you have no ability to actually have real outreach with fans. So you're actually shrinking the product. You're shrinking your ability to reach out and bring new customers in. Because new customers are people on YouTube. They're people on TikTok. They are people on Twitter, and they are people on Facebook. That content should be what you actually... And you want the fan content out there, because that's going to reach the people that your marketing team have not reached yet. Algorithms are going to pick up their stuff as it gets viewed, and they're going to broadcast it to new people. It's fucking not hard to figure out why you don't want to fuck with the system. There used to be a wheel, as I mentioned. The wheel would turn. It would bring people in and pull them all the way up to the maw of Games Workshop. And in their greed and short-sightedness, Games Workshop broke the wheel, and now they're like, "Wheel not working, food." They don't understand their own market. They don't get it. It's not that they don't get it because they're bad or anything like that, or they're malicious or whatever. They're just incompetent. And incompetent doesn't necessarily also mean incredibly stupid or anything like that. They just don't understand modern marketing and how modern marketing works with the internet. They don't get it. They're not in it to win it like that. They don't see the correlation and the causation together. Maybe they will eventually, but it will take time, and even then they will still want more control over that process, which is another part of why it won't work. The organic growth is kind of what you need. Again, that's why the influencers themselves tend to not work for companies, and they tend to handle the marketing that they deal with when the companies come in, unless they're very low on the totem pole as an influencer. For every fan animation you make, put Warhammer Plus link on description. Yeah, you could do that, but also it's actually way better to be like, "Hey guys, this is our fan animation. Please, if you'd like to see high quality new official animations, it is on Warhammer Plus." Even if you don't provide the link, just mention it, and you might actually get somewhere. I know it's the UK reference, but it's like the presenters on the Blue Peter LOL Kids presenters, basically. Yeah. Someone pointed out to me a while ago, and I can't help but notice it, but Duncan looks way healthier and happier now that he's working on his own. Of course he is, because he doesn't have people breathing down his neck, and he can do what he wants. That man was the heart and soul of their marketing team. Look at how sharply it's gone downhill since he's left. Again, it's an obsession to not have another Duncan Rhodes. They don't realize that Duncan Rhodes was one of the major components beyond things like fan animations that led to the growth of the company and their success. They don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it because the people who weren't Duncan Rhodes and didn't get on the gravy train inside the company don't want to get it. Because they're like, fuck, how did this guy do it? He was wrong. Look at him. Make money on side. Bad. It's never gonna... Like, jealousy and envy. Jealousy and envy. It's bad luck and it holds you back. And some people will never have the talent or skill set or personality type to make this work. Like, like, as bizarre as it sounds, isn't Louise the new Duncan? Is she? Does anyone know? Does anyone care? Yeah, Disney did step back, but that was a different situation. You think they just threw out Warhammer Plus with the pandemic? They have fallen back at the excuse of 2 to 3 years from now it might be worthwhile. They'll try that, but it won't work. Again, Byron, it's targeted to the wrong audience and providing the wrong content for that audience. They don't understand their own market. They don't understand how to make content for that market because they're not in that market and they don't represent their own consumers. Their consumers are a different group of people than the people making the product. That's the problem. So when the fan animations and independent influencers are having a bigger impact than Warhammer itself, why is that? Why is Valrak bigger than most of their presenters? It's because he's one of you. He's like me. He's like all of us. And yeah, like, he's not a perfect person by any means. No one is. I'm certainly fucking not. But that is why he has grown bigger than a lot of the actual official people. Same with Kurioff. Why is Kurioff successful at this? You know why Kurioff is successful at this. You know. You'd have to be out of your mind not to see it. Because Kurioff is able to make that type of contact with you guys. No, it's true. They are one of us. They are people just the same as you as me. They're not insiders. They're not playing inside baseball. They're not thinking that they're too fucking clever for their audience. That's why people connect with them. That's why people connect with Joe Rogan. Not just for MMA, but for all things. Because they see Joe Rogan as an interesting person asking questions. Who doesn't have all the answers and isn't being a smug asshole who you watch when you're basically trying to, forget about your life for a minute. You don't realize even that Joe Rogan, through the people he's bringing on, is subtly advertising books to you. He's advertising upcoming films to you. He's advertising new products to you, even without his ads. He's advertising these things to you through the use of his podcast. But how is he doing it? He's being genuine with you. He's walking down a journey with you. Why do you think Spotify paid him $125 million? He's corporate too. That doesn't mean he's a bad person. Let's be very real here. He's amazing. I fucking follow Joe Rogan. But Joe Rogan makes that difference because you feel, even though he's worth like $200 million, like he is connected with you. And the same thing's true for Duncan. Duncan did $1 million paint line. $1 million flowed through his hands. Now, he doesn't have $1 million yet. But he will soon. And why? Because Duncan is a genuine person who's just interested in painting models. He's interested in finding out what makes you want a hobby. He's interested in doing all of these things with you. That's why Duncan Rhodes gets where he is. You've, again, the other streamers I've mentioned here, they all get there through that. That doesn't, they're just following you on a more organic journey with them. That's how you make it work. Now, myself, I'm a person who's always been really terrible at keeping secrets and stuff. I've never disguised the fact that I would like to get out of the factory. I've never disguised the fact that I would like to do this for myself. But you can hear from my analyzation of it, I understand it. I understand it at its core. And I understand why people want to be involved with it and why people want to follow different people and what they want to learn about them. Valrak has core values and features that he has for his audience. It's not just you want to show up and hang out with Valrak, though that is a significant part of it. You go to him for rumors. You go to him for banter. You go to him for all these different things. He's just being himself. He is. But he has a market that he caters to. Kurioff's the same way. All these guys have their own communities that they built around. Liam Dembski's the same way. They carve out a section that they cater to. Sometimes there's overlap, sometimes there's not. They have collaborations with each other from time to time. They reference each other from time to time, because it's part of an ever-growing community. I love Valrak streams. That's why I'm still there. I'll never leave. I'm always gonna be an Imperial Fist in my heart. But I would like to make this work out for me as well, right? You know, I do wonder if people, like, I don't know how much banter happens on here. I think we have a fair bit of banter on here, but it's just me organically talking with people. Like, this is just how I am with everybody. This is how I talk with my family. This is how I talk with my friends. This is how I talk with people on stream. This is how I talk with people I work with. This is how I talk with my clients at my job. It's I try to be as straight up with people as I can be. Like, and you know, in a lot of cases, it's very difficult to be this way. Sometimes you have to say things that'll piss people off, like shield banter drone. I need a drone that will protect me from my audience. Anytime it looks like I'm going to be in trouble, there has to be a shield drone that appears in front of me, woo, 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 just floating in front of me. It's like, no, banter detected. Yeah, no, you know, it's the way it is. Is everybody having a good stream so far? I know we don't have as many people in here as usual, but that's because of the obscure time it is. I am sorry. Again, like, it's going to be like this for the next 4 or 5 days after today. There will be a second stream today, which is going to be called Adults Bullying Children. It's going to happen. Are the mods shield drones in this sense? They are and they aren't, because I'm pretty sure Crunk is going to attack me. Astartes had reaction. I missed this one, Crunk. Just 1 second here. Astartes had reaction vids from all walks of life. The glorious series of shorts did more advertising for 40K to a wider audience than anything GW has done, and they paywalled it. Yup. Dumb. It's not smart. As I mentioned, paywalling that stuff, not a good idea. Not a good idea, boys. All is well. Stanky stink. Thank you, Frog. Adults bullying children. What? So there's a comment earlier. There's a comment earlier from Jenkins. I love that you. It's not changed yet. That's going to be the stream this afternoon. That's going to be episode 27. Episode 27 is actually episode 26, part 2, is going to be adults bullying children. It's happening. I don't fucking care. That's the funniest fucking line of the day. That's always the way it's got to be sometimes. You're like, you know what? Adults bullying children sounds fucking okay to me. You know what, kid? So he was describing when he saw people bullying children for having painted Ultramarines. Oh, you painted them Ultramarines? What a loser, kid. Said like this 30-year-old guy to this fucking 12-year-old kid with his Ultramarines. These are my Ultramarines. They're so cool. Your Ultramarines suck, kid. Oh, the gatekeeping a child. Get out of here, you fucking punk. You shitty Ultramarines. I bet I whipped their ass. Oh! Welcome to the 40K community, everyone. We're having a hell of a time here. Yeah, I don't know how many subs the Big Red Bear is gonna pick up with adults bullying children, but we're fucking doing it, fellas. We're crossing that. We're crossing that bridge, my friends. I now have 2 wounds and get an extra wound before Chaos Space Marines who have been waiting for 18 months. You know what? Like, all of these people are obsessed over Chaos having 2 wounds. It's not even the problem with the army. It is a problem in the army, but the key problem with the army is it has no functional purpose and it's an old list of old ideas. It happens to factions who are doing well in the meta too. Absolutely. Like, there was a local player here. Great guy. Super smart guy. Wins most of his games. Always been a good player. I'm undefeated against him. But he beats most of the players he played against, at least when I was more active during 8th edition. He played Guard. And Guard were very good at the time in 8th edition. And people kept on bullying him until he dropped his Guard army. I'm like, oh. I remember my favorite part, he's like, well, you know, I just play Guard because they're really good. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, and that's a great thing. I'm like, you're going to hammer these people because they don't know how to deal with the numbers. And he's just like, well, what's that mean? I'm like, no, you'll see. And then everyone's just like, oh, he plays guard and he's just kicking the hell out of everybody. I'm like, I know, I'm watching it. I managed to outdo him with my orcs, and at the end, what's great is his last HQ in the game, the last game I had with him, killed himself by rolling a 1 with a plasma pistol. He had no other troops on the table. He only had aircraft. So he auto-lost the game at the time, because I had the up on the victory points. But as the orcs were closing in on the last remaining commissar on the ground, when he rolled that 1 and he couldn't re-roll it, we jokingly said that, the guy just shot himself instead of getting pulled apart by the orcs. He said, fuck this! It's like, I'm fucking out. I'm not dealing with this anymore. It happens to. Oh, yeah. So, that is when the ball punch occurs. Absolutely right in the testes. Remember, no Ultramarines, kid. Oh, just batters the child. Sitting there trying to play his game, smacks the kid's head into the table. The local GW staff just starts nodding his head. That's right. Sorry, kid, I can't play your AdMech. They are meta. Meta fucking kid. I actually debated quitting 40k if they came out with a squad army. Because I don't ever want to play a squad army. And I felt I would be like a shitty gatekeeper if I told people that I wasn't going to play them because they had squads. Like, this is no joke. I was going to be like, fuck, I really don't want these things to be in 40k at all. Like, so I'm like, man, I guess I'd have to leave. And so there's a real debate I was having, like, am I going to leave over this army? And I've kind of gotten over it. It's just kind of the way it is, because I don't want to be that person. But I still absolutely despise squats. I absolutely despise them. I never want to see them fucking back in 40k. And unfortunately, if they do bring them back, knowing the audience I am generating so far, I will be forced to probably build at least a squad or 2 of these things if they ever bring them back. And God help me. I'm not a religious man, but God help me. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it at all. You guys, I don't want to do it in the slightest. And I know that it's the same thing with the Canadian Marines. You gotta do it for the Canada. I don't want to do this, you guys. You're doing it. You're fucking doing it. It's like, just kill me. They call me Hidalgo. No, dude. As I said, I got over it. If you have squats from Rogue Trader, well, good sir, I tip my fedora to you. No, if you love them, that's your own thing. Like, a lot of it is just you have to get over your own bullshit. And, at the time, as I said, like, this was a few months ago to a year ago. I genuinely was, asking myself, do I want to stick around if they bring them back? And I opted to say yes, and that means that you just kind of have to roll with it, which means that I don't like them. Like, I'll never disguise the fact that I don't like them, but just because I don't like something doesn't mean that I should be an asshole to people. And I've been that before, and I feel bad about it. That is definitely gatekeeping. So annoying that we can't get heavy power hammer from Gene Stealer cults individually. Only the Corvus hammer looks like them. I mean, you could always just take it off the model. What the fuck? What do you mean, what the fuck? I hate squats, man. I'm not even joking. Nutshot, the new meta. That's why the tables got smaller, so you can kick your opponent in the balls. You know what, Crunk? Maybe. You never know with the current staff at Games Workshop. You never fucking know. But, welcome aboard. They call me Hidalgo. Welcome to the Big Red 40k stream. Fear not. My disdain for squats has nothing to do with you, I assure you. You're safe here. It's a safe place. Okay, that was for the nutshot. I'm like, what did I do? I didn't kick anybody in the balls. It was Crunk. It was Crunk, I tell you. It was Crunk. There are three hand on the handle. It must be a lot of cutting. Yeah. I've cut weapons before. That's fine, Jorg. Just cut where you gotta cut. Just be careful. Make sure it happens the right way, man. Don't slip. Don't fucking slip. That'd be a bad idea. Wouldn't want to fucking slip now, would you? It's like, oh shit, boys. Oh shit, don't slip. Just don't take your hand off. Don't, well, actually, maybe you do want to take the hand off, but don't take your hand off. You just have to be, careful. You just have to be careful. That's, I've cut apart a bunch of weapons from Chaos kits to put them on Chaos Space Marines, for instance. So that is definitely a skill that you have to learn if you want to do those types of conversions. So I myself definitely want to do those types of conversions, so I just learned how to do it over time. Oh boy. Oh, it's 4:30 in the morning. Oh god, I don't want to work today. The entire time I'm like, oh man, this seems like it's gonna hurt. It seems like it's gonna be a hurtful day for me. I got like 300 emails to go through. I just want to die. No, that YouTube, don't take that seriously, YouTube. I don't mean that. I mean I want to die in Minecraft. But yeah, no, I think we've had a pretty good stream so far this morning. It's the first early morning stream I've done, i.e. the first late morning stream for people in Europe, and the first evening stream in Oceania/Asia. I think we're doing all right, fellas. I think we're doing the right things. We've got 20 people who've watched this so far in terms of concurrently at one time. Already at the factory, bro. That's right. We're already there. I'm already in the factory too. I work from home right now, so I'm in the factory. I've been online for work for 2.5 hours, so it still hurts. Oh, it does. Oh god. I'm dreading having to open up my work browser when we hit that point in the next couple hours. I'm just sitting there like, oh, it's having this tension run through my body. I can feel my muscles all tensing up. It's just killing me. It's killing me. It's killing me, dog. It's killing me. But yeah, no, we're still on the march to 1,000 subs. Tell your friends. Please tell them to join the stream at some opportunity. Please tell them to check out the channel. I am doing my best. I'm trying to pull people in from all different directions. But when we hit 1,000, it's going to be very much a lot of change is going to be coming to the channel. Every time I stream, I'm not worried about watch hours because every time I stream, we have enough watch hours that we'll hit the 4,000 mark before the end of this month. Regardless, it's just a matter of growing the number of subscriptions that we have coming in on stream. Like and sub reminder. Oh, thank you, Crunk. Crunk just sent me prior to me saying this to say, hey, if you're enjoying the channel, if you're enjoying your time here today, folks, please consider hitting that like button. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. We're trying our best to grow the channel at the moment. I was already talking about it, and I just read that to the side. But no, sincerely, if you are enjoying your time here, please consider liking and subscribing. Please consider sharing the channel. Please consider sharing the stream and things like that, because it's the main way that channels grow at this size. Just because, unfortunately, YouTube won't really throw me into the algorithm, I suspect, until I'm monetized. Oh boy, and I'm a little bit of ways away from being monetized. Thank you, Miles. Miles, I can always rely on you to unlike the video. You're a true friend. If they cannot log in, Tuppy, they cannot raise tickets. You just lock their IPs out. You're like, look, I don't know why you can't make it in, but, as far as I'm concerned, there's no ticket on file, so I just, I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you want? Yeah, no, there's no ticket that we see filed here, my friend, so, I guess there was no problem. Yeah, I think we're okay. I think we made it, you guys. I think we're there, fellas. But yeah, no, I do hope the long form essay that I'm working on ends up being a good video as well. I do intend to intercut it with various memes and cuts, like I do have, as I mentioned, the Daenerys part, and I'm going to have a few shots from different Warhammer animations running through it as well. The computer says no ticket for you. But we'll see if people appreciate my sense of humor. I always wondered if you would hit the algorithm if you can just ensure you got ads, i.e. music, that 100% claims rather than strikes. How do you mean? I don't know what you mean, Forks. Drakari shout out. Oh yeah, dude, I'm shouting out all my Drakari brothers, man. I love Drakari. I've absolutely fucking loved Drakari. There's such a good concept in Army. I just fucking love them. I really do. Just 1 second here. Sorry, just checking one thing here, fellas. You will have to forgive me. Forgive me! Forgive me! Alright, we're back. Like, if you put music at the start of your video, you could easily cut it out later. You would get claims by said music and have that on the video. I'd rather not. I just bought a Dark Eldar 5 minutes ago. Scourges, Cabalite Warriors, Talos, Venom, and Archon. That's fucking cool, bro. Dark Eldar are nice, sexy, and dangerous. They absolutely are, 100%. Like, I love the Drakari, man. Drakari are... You know, there's very few things in Warhammer 40,000 that I don't like at least a little, but Drakari is way high on my list of, like... I love Drakari. Drakari are just fantastic. But you guys, it is 4:40 in the morning. I've been streaming for 3 hours this morning. There will be early morning streams for at least sometime in the morning streams for the next few days, because I will be streaming later on today as well. Unfortunately, I think is going to be the part where I have to punch out, fellas. I gotta punch out. I gotta get a couple hours in before I start work. So I do intend to see most of you, or at least you may see some of me in about 12 hours. When I stream again later on today. It might be a bit later than that. I think I might have to go sign something today after work. But join the Drakari. We have combat drugs and waifus. So with that being said, thank you everybody for being here today. I'll see some of you later on tonight. Remember, share the stream, share the channel. I am doing my best to grow, and it does require a bit of the organic word of mouth, as I mentioned. Funnily enough, in all of the marketing that I've been writing about for the last little while here. So with that being said, I will catch you guys later. I'll see you guys later today, or I'll see you on Valorac's stream too.